Chapter 938, Becoming Enemies. Chapter 938, Becoming Enemies, _. There were many massive, chipped holes reaching deep underground. Collapsed mountain ranges were everywhere. Some of the mountains had a flat surface, as if they were cut by a sharp knife. Large rocks were scattered around the place. The ground was bumpy, as if some giants had marched through this place. Some holes had colored fluids with something mysterious inside. Also, they found many kinds of dominant plants and even undying ancient trees. This was also a corner of Broken Star Field. Sure, Yen was standing by the mountain. Be careful. This place has been exploited many times. It wouldn't have precious materials. However, there are still some mines deep underground. Once they find some marvelous cultivating materials, the battle would take place. Jiyu became anxious in this area, speaking gingerly. Sure, Yen nodded. I got it. Lead the way, please. Jiyu knitted his brows tightly, slowly flying forward. However, he was much slower than before. Sometimes he looked around as if he was afraid that they would meet unexpected things. 5 days later, they came to a deeper corner in Broken Star Field. Swoosh! The figure zoomed over from afar. He had a dark blue halo moving around his body, which was stained with black blood, his face pale. Third sky of original God realm. Shi Yan's eyes shrank. He pulled his spirit, nodding at Fei Lan. Fei Lan extended her hand and grabbed the void, pulling Jiyu, who was flying in front of them. The oncoming warrior was a member of the Dark Spirit clan. He had oily green skin and a green shoulder-length hair. His eyes were also as green as a venomous snake. Seeing Shi Yan's team, his eyes brightened, shouting, "Take this!" A water drop-like blue jade shot out from his hand. It had a distinctive energy fluctuation. You couldn't help but scream surprisedly. Blue bloodstone, level 6 divine grade, used to refine blue blood pellet, which is to give a tonic to blood chi. The blue bloodstone turned into a beam of blue light shooting towards Fei Lan. The Dark Spirit clan man didn't talk much. He just grinned and ran away. He passed by Shi Yan's team, flying quickly to get out of this place. Boom! The path in front of him suddenly had a shining silver river. This river hid the soft but tenacious power of water. It was the ability of the ethereal extent. The man bumped into the long river, drowning. Water bound him tightly. He couldn't even wiggle to get rid of it quickly. Immediately, a man and a woman appeared in the direction he had just left. The man had a nice but evil look. The woman was as charming as a flower. They were around 30 or 40 years old, and both of them were members of the Ghostmark clan. Their exposed shoulder had marvelous green textures. First sky of ethereal god realm. Fei Lan hissed. Shi Yan slightly changed his visage, screaming immediately, "Throw that bloodstone away!" Fei Lan didn't hesitate. Her left hand was about to capture that stone. Now had some pale thread, which then guided the blue bloodstone away. The 2 Ghostmark clan fellows arrived. The man laughed evilly as he rose his hand and caught the blue bloodstone. Then he glanced at Shi Yan's team, disdainfully gliding away. Dare to take our stuff? He doesn't know how to live, right? The woman was charmingly mature. She smiled tenderly, retrieving her power Upanishad. The long silver river shrunk little by little. The Dark Spirit clan man was covered in the river, trying to wiggle, but he couldn't get rid of it. Eventually, he was pulled toward the woman. The woman's phoenix eyes were full of murderous aura. The river, derived from her ethereal extent, turned into water dragons, coiling around him. Crack, crack, crack. The Dark Spirit clan man exploded. His bones broke, while his flesh and blood splashed everywhere. Swoosh! His soul altar escaped, looking at the Ghostmark clan experts with an enormous grudge. It threw a glance at Fei Lan and then turned into a wave, teleporting thousands of miles in just a blink. Run fast enough. The beautiful woman of the Ghost Mark clan cursed. Then, as they retrieved the river into her soul altar, her beautiful eyes glared at Fei Lon annoyedly. Fei Lon frowned, but said nothing. 2 ugly women, the Ghost Mark clan woman mumbled, as if she wanted to vent out her anger. Fei Lon and Leona became cold. Fei Lon didn't take care about her appearance. At the same time, she looked senile with many wrinkles on her face. Leona's face was full of scars. Although they were all women, compared to the beautiful Ghost Mark clan woman, they looked horrid. However, being pointed at and directly scolded, a nice person would be enraged. Cough, cough. Shi Yan gave dry coughs. Fei Lon and Leona gritted their teeth, trying to control themselves not to burst out and make a mess. Don't cause more trouble. The Ghost Mark clan man frowned. We still need to harvest blue bloodstone. We shouldn't waste more time. Let's go. The beautiful woman glanced at Fei Lon and Leona disdainfully muttering, If I'm not busy, I will play with you guys. How dare you try to run around with such ugly faces? Don't you think you will scare all men away? Then she smiled contentedly, following the man and returning. They flew deeper into the place, disappearing shortly. Waiting until the 2 of them left, Shi Yan calmly moved to the position where the dark spirit clan man exploded, hovering indifferently for a while. Pieces of that dark spirit clan man's body seemed shriveled as if someone had taken all the water in them. Eventually, they became dried meat as if they had been dried under the intense sunlight for countless years. Shi Yan smiled, speaking to Fei Lon and Leona, who still grimaced. Both of them are at first sky of ethereal god realm, and we don't know if they still have some fellows around here. Engaging in a battle isn't a wise move. Fei Lon and Leona had dark eyes. After a while, they nodded but didn't reply him. You should take a rest for a while. Shi Yan contemplated for a while and then looked at Jiyu. He rose his hand and a blue light cave descended from the sky, shrouding Jiyu entirely and preventing him from observing anything around. Shi Yan sat down, closing his eyes to digest the energy. Fei Lon, Leona, and Ka Tua knew what was going to happen. They were all happy, sitting down quietly. After a while, beams of pure light energy emitted from Shi Yan's god body, entering the mark on Fei Lon, Leona, and Ka Tuo's foreheads. A long while later, the 4 of them got up one after another. They were all vivid and refreshed, their auras full and lively. Especially Ka Tuo. As he had reached second sky of original god realm, he needed more energy. Receiving energy from Shi Yan, Ka Tuo's accumulation advanced. At least, it helped him save dozens of years of ascetic cultivation. It was unnecessary to compete like that. It was boring, though, especially when we weren't sure about the victory. We shouldn't provoke them in such a fight. Shi Yan knitted his brows, talking calmly. Just think that those Beastris cheese have just given us a gift. We will stay in Broken Star Field for a while. We will probably meet them again. If you guys are sure, I will not stop you from taking revenge. Yeah, that woman has an exquisite face. I think if you use a sharp knife and cut it little by little, it'll be more beautiful when it's bloody enough. Fei Lon and Leona pulled themselves together. Listening to him, they imagined the picture and smiled coldly. Seeing them resume their normal states, Shi Yan eased his mind. He grabbed the void and the blue ice light flew up, disappearing into his body. After you got out of the cage, he looked at him skeptically. What did you do secretly? If you don't want me to listen to your conversation, you can tell me. I will leave. You don't need to do that. That cage is so cold. If you hold me there any longer, I won't be able to endure that kind of cold. Shi Yan smiled. There's something you shouldn't know. It's better for you. Okay, next time I will control the temperature. You can stay there comfortably. Listening to him, Jiyu had a forced smile, but he had no choice. He could only nod his head begrudgingly. Then you should be more careful. Better to tell me in advance so I can prepare myself. Okay, I will tell you in advance, Shi Yan agreed with him. We will encounter this sort of thing more often in the future. You shouldn't feel strange. It's normal that weaker warriors are killed or have to run away when they find precious materials. Allow me to advise you on this. If you don't have the competence, you shouldn't be greedy. Just let go what you don't need to live. Only if you learn how to let things go will you be able to live longer, Jiyu advised earnestly. Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka Tua felt a little shamed. When they were in Raging Flame Star area, there were the experts who had their own territories. Fei Lan was the peak warrior, the legendary one. However, as they were in the remote area of Far West in the Agate Star area, they felt mocked and disdained. Still, they acted patient and subtle. Even a kid like Jiyu thought that they weren't strong enough. He had advised them to be patient in this damn broken star field. They found it hard to accept. Okay, I know what to do. Shi Yan was calm. He had wandered, drifting away for so many years, struggling to survive amongst the experts. He had experienced many bad situations. He knew when to be patient and subtle. When he had just arrived in the endless sea, he was frail. Ultimately, he had reached the peak, standing above everyone else. When he had entered divine great land, the situation was also the same. With his efforts, he had become the top warrior of Grace Mainland. The same had happened in Raging Flame Star area. He had made each step with the goal of protecting himself. Eventually, with his perception and mysterious power Upanishads, he had a great achievement. Today, as he was in Agate Star area, everything was the same. Nothing was to be different. What he had to do now was be persistent in each step he made. He could get stronger little by little. When he reached a certain level, he turned his head around. He would see the ones who used to be powerful who were now under his feet, admiring his aura. Be patient now to exchange for the peak later. I hope you guys understand that this place isn't your Raging Flame Star area, hissed Shi Yan. Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka Tua nodded begrudgingly. Don't you think Broken Star Field is the best place for us? Shi Yan suddenly smiled. His face showed that he wanted to take action. Killing, fighting, and death are everywhere. Isn't it the best fortune we have? The other three's eyes brightened. Chapter 939, Immortal Grass. Chapter 939, Immortal Grass, _ Shi Yan strolled forward in a corner of Broken Star Field. He was cautious and watchful for every small change around him. On their way, they met groups of warriors. Usually, each group had one or several ethereal god realm experts leading a team. Some of them were from the Far West region, while others came from other places deep in Agate Star area. They came here to find rare materials in Broken Star Field. They had encountered a lot of battles, and all of them were because of seizing, cultivating materials. No exception. Each battle had taken place because of only one reason: robbing crystals, ores, or precious materials. Whether they found it themselves or just saw it and they thought they were strong enough to rob, they took action without much hesitation. It was extremely brutal. The weak warriors couldn't keep their benefits. If they understood and gave it up, it was possible that they would save their lives. If they weren't strong enough and hadn't left before the battle happened, they likely perished. On their way, they'd seen many similar battles and many unlucky warriors who lost their lives in such battles. To the others, it was their misfortune. To Shi Yan's team, it was their fortune. When the battle happened, someone died. Shi Yan acted like he got an injection of chicken blood, hurrying to come and watch. Chicken blood therapy was a form of pseudo-medical therapy popular in China during the Cultural Revolution. It was practiced mainly by village doctors in the 1960s. Originally banned by the government, it was eventually accepted and encouraged by the Communist Party of China. But he had only watched. He had never joined any battle. He didn't let himself be involved in it. Every time they spotted a battle, they would wait afar. After it ended, Shiryan's team would approach the corpses hovering. Ji Yu was unlucky. He felt aggrieved because Shiryan usually used the blue ice cage to imprison him temporarily. He couldn't see anything, so he didn't know what Shiryan, Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka Tua had done. Also, he didn't know why they had to conceal what they did. The 4 people of Shiryan's team were sitting cross-legged by the piles of crushed stone. The energy fluctuations from Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka Tua calmed down eventually. After a while, Ka Tua opened his eyes and smiled. He thanked Shiryan sincerely. "Senior, my second sky of original God realm has been strengthened. My energy is brimming, reaching the threshold to break through again. I think as soon as I have some comprehension of Power Upanishad, I can enter the whole new world of third sky of original God realm." Shiryan chuckled, nodded. "So can you estimate how much time you need before your breakthrough comes?" "I think that it won't be too long," Ka Tua was excited, "if you can maintain your support for me." "Of course," Shiryan chuckled. "Broken Star Field suits us well. Fighting is everywhere. When the experts die, people collect materials while we collect the corpses. Our harvest is much larger than anyone else's." Ka Tua laughed as he felt so lucky. Fei Lan stood up quietly. She had a faint nimbus on her wrinkled face. Her spirit, chi, and soul were vigorous. She frowned at Leona. Leona sat neatly. The area around her was like a dark abyss that had swallowed all the light. Her figure was vague in the shaded area. She looked like an ominous shadow. A magical and profound energy came from her soul altar. Shiryan and Ka Tua were surprised. They looked at Leona. Their faces touched. "You can see it, right? Leona is about to break through too." Pondering for a while, Fei Lan felt surprised and happy. Seems like she has harvested a lot lately. When she broke through last time, her dark power Upanishad has advanced as well. Talking about the realm, she has reached the threshold. She just needs time to accumulate energy. Then she can make a strong move. And you've been giving her this amount of energy, an amount that requires hundreds of years to accumulate in just 1 or 2 years. Perhaps she will break through earlier. Ka Tuo's eyes brightened as he couldn't help but scream, "Senior, you're our lucky charm. Going with you, we will leap up and progress faster." Fei Lan nodded. She sighed inwardly as she said, "Perhaps it's the reason why the cortege of 8 wanted to follow Bloodthirsty. His marvelous power, Upanishad, could grant his escorts their wishes. I think I got it." After Leona had finished refining her energy, she woke up. Her eyes were as dark as ink, so dark that it was as if it could swallow any kind of light. She got up quietly, speaking, "At this speed of energy absorption, after 1 month at most, I can enter ethereal God realm." Fei Lan and Ka Tua were excited. They were honestly happy for her. From the day they entered Broken Star Field, they realized that even though they were the top warriors in Raging Flame Star area, they weren't strong enough in this place where there were so many dangers and unidentified factors. If they could improve their competencies, they could live better in Broken Star Field and they could harvest more benefits. Although Shiryan often sneaked into the areas where battle happened, he was always cautious. He didn't dare to come close to some fights. To some of the particular battles, he didn't even dare to watch, even from a far distance. Usually, he would stay as far as possible from the battles between warriors at Ethereal God Realm, especially Second Sky of Ethereal God Realm. He was afraid that the experts at Second Sky of Ethereal God Realm would kill them to warm up, because to experts at such realms, it didn't require a lot of energy to kill Shiryan's entire team. The battles he dared to observe were usually between warriors at the original God Realm and First Sky of Ethereal God Realm. Since they had Fei Lan and Leona, and they were never greedy for those materials, the others wouldn't trouble them. They didn't consider them their new rivals. Shiryan was always cautious. In Broken Star Field, they had harvested the benefits they could at the best rate. They didn't need to join any battle, but their harvest was abundant. Anyway, no one could know this. Seeing the three of them waking up and refining the energy they had just harvested, Shi Yan smiled, retrieving the power he used to restrain Jiyu. Then they continued moving deeper into Broken Star Field. Jiyu got used to his confinement. He didn't bother asking anymore. Every time he was released, he just continued to lead the way, not saying anything. They felt satisfied with Jiyu. This boy wasn't mature, but he knew how to guess what people were thinking through their countenances. He knew what to do to not provoke others. Jiyu was a smart kid. Standing in the middle of the crushed stone piles between the collapsed mountains, a mature, attractive woman was observing something on the ground. That woman was from the demon clan. Just like Dishan, she was a member of the black-winged clan with 2 massive wings on her back. Her curvy body was shrouded in a black dress, which lingered on her healthy, wheat-toned skin. Her long black hair cascaded like a waterfall, reaching her rear end. She bent her body slightly, which revealed her heavy bosom. She focused, gliding swiftly between the crushed stone, her flying posture gentle like a bird. She suddenly felt something, and she halted in the air. Her phoenix eyes twinkled, silently watching the incomers. Shi Yan's team paused, hovering dozens of meters away from that beautiful demon clan woman. First sky of ethereal god realm, Fei Lan whispered. This area has nothing valuable. I wonder what she's looking for. So strange, Jiyu mumbled. Sure, Yen looked at the piles of crushed stone. He could see some tufts of green grass, which looked ordinary without much energy, fragrance, or any halo. However, that charming demon woman was crouching in the grass. Her slender fingers grabbed the green leaves that could be found everywhere else here. She gingerly watched Shi Yan's team, frowning. She pondered for a while and then continued her work of harvesting the grass. What kind of grass is it? Shi Yan contemplated and then asked in a low tone. Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka Tua shook their heads. Jiyu thought for a while and then lowered his voice to answer Shi Yan. It's called immortal grass. Only this area has this kind of grass in Broken Star Field. It's ordinary. I've never seen anyone harvesting this grass. This immortal grass doesn't have energy fluctuations. No alchemist comes to harvest it. However, immortal grass is tenacious. After being cut, it will heal itself immediately as if it never died. Except for this feature, I don't know any of its other magical effects. Immortal grass. Shi Yan repeated the name silently. He was bewildered for a while before walking towards the piles of crushed stone. The black-winged woman paused her work. She stood up, her legs beautifully slim. Her bright eyes glared at him coldly. Shi Yan smiled friendly. I just want to pick a leaf to see. I mean no harm. Don't be tense. This woman had first sky of ethereal god realm, which wasn't a significant threat in their opinions. That was why Shi Yan dared to come over. If she had had second sky of ethereal god realm, he wouldn't have dared to get so close. Do you need this grass? The woman was astounded, her eyes showing her disdain. Do you know its effects? No, Shi Yan smiled, shaking his head. I'm just curious. Simply curious. Pausing for a while, he continued, Did I disturb you? The black-winged woman knitted her brows slightly, speaking as if she was bothered. You don't know anything. Why would you look around here? Forget it. If you want to waste your time, just do it. Then she turned around and left. Like a blackbird, she made a gentle curve in the air, disappearing shortly. Seconds later, they couldn't see her anymore. Sure, Yen was astounded for a while. He didn't keep it in his mind, walking to the area the woman had harvested the grass previously. He picked up a handful. This green weed was around 1 meter long, rooted in between the stones, surviving tenaciously. He picked up a tuft of them. Shortly after, the cut roots of the grass grew again. A grass green, fluid stuck on the roots. Gradually, This fluid seeped into the grass, disappearing. The broken leaves where Yen grabbed them but also had grass-green fluid sticking on his fingers. Magically, this grass-green fluid seeped directly into his finger, disappearing little by little, and the most tenacious grass started to wither as if their nutrients were taken away. A drop of ruby immortal demon blood in his finger suddenly vibrated. Chapter 940. Enemies on a Narrow Road. Chapter 940. Enemies on a Narrow Road, _ The grass-green fluid of the immortal grass seeped into his flesh, vibrating his immortal demon blood. And a wonderful thing happened. After that rice-sized drop of immortal demon blood slowly absorbed the fluid of the immortal grass, it enlarged. The blood chi stored in that drop of blood became strangely abundant. Yen was baffled. You couldn't help but hiss. What's going on? He jumped and landed next to Yen. While Yen was absorbed in his thoughts, Ji shot out a light, cutting the grass underneath. However, those leaves he had cut were still vivid green, as if nothing happened. They didn't wither and die like the grass in Yen's hand. Ji was perplexed, looking at Yen and asking seriously, "Why did this grass wither and die in your hand?" Ji threw the grass he had cut on the ground. Those leaves moved like snakes, protectively slithering towards the grass. The cut leaves joined the grass. They looked as vibrant as they were a moment ago. Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka-Tua were surprised. They stormed over, stooping to observe the immortal grass. However, they didn't spot anything abnormal. Yen was baffled for a while. His eyes gradually brightened up, laughing happily. Just like a beam of dark light, he moved back and forth between piles of crushed stone, grabbing tufts of immortal grass and squeezing them. Drops of green fluid seeped into his flesh and dissolved. The immortal grass, leaves he plucked withered and died shortly after, as if their fountain of life had been taken away. After 5 minutes, all the immortal grass around this place looked like they were squeezed. They shriveled and died. At this moment, Yen stopped, his eyes brighter and deeper. A smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Immortal grass and immortal demon blood were somehow similar. They could mingle with each other and help him condense more immortal demon blood. Thousands of tufts of ordinary immortal grass brought him at least 100 new drops of immortal demon blood. This amount could be compared to essence chi from dead bodies of some original God Realm experts. Yen was happy, laughing loudly. This grass isn't bad. Interesting. Jiyu, Fei Lan, and the others looked at him dazedly. They knew that this kind of green grass had some magical effects on him. However, since he didn't disclose it to them, they couldn't guess anything. Is there more immortal grass around? Yen chuckled, asking Jiyu, "We can go there if it's further away from this area." Jiyu shook his head with a smile. "No, only this place. You've consumed them all shortly. I'm afraid that we can't have them later. What's happened after all?" "Nothing. This grass is good for me." Yen smiled, stretching his body and speaking contentedly. "We should go. There's no reason to stay here." Jiyu was so curious, but if Yen didn't want to say it, he couldn't do anything. He nodded and continued to lead. A long time afterward, the black-winged woman who had disappeared from this area returned with 2 black, scaled tribe clansmen of the demon clan. The 2 black, scaled men looked muscular and rough. Their bodies were covered with fine black scales. They had a naturally imposing aura that people didn't dare to underestimate. Both of them were at 3rd sky of ethereal God realm. The 3 demon fellows stood in the middle of the withered grass on the ground. Their faces grimaced. "Something is wrong." The attractive black-winged woman shivered in fear. Suddenly she cried, "The immortal grass died. It withered and died." The 2 brawny black, scaled men reacted when they heard her. Strange light sparkled in their eyes. Is it similar to our master when he absorbs them? A beefy man shouted. He looked shaken, hissing solemnly. Is he from the immortal demon tribe like our master? Impossible. The other man shook his head continually. Master has been searching through Agate Star area for years. He hasn't found any member of his tribe yet. Only our master has the immortal demon blood in Agate Star area. So it must be impossible. The two muscular men shrilled, looking at the beautiful black winged woman. Wulan, you're the smartest. What do you think? The charming black winged woman was astounded. But then the shout from the man had woken her up. She shook her head. I don't know. Our master has been searching for years in Agate Star area, but he hasn't found any members of his tribe. It's possible that he couldn't sense his fellows with his realm. 100 years ago, Master had used a lot of energy to rake through the area. He got nothing. Anyway, the condition of immortal grass here is really similar. It looks like some immortal demon, like our master, has absorbed the grass. The last search of our master was 100 years ago. What if that person is an immortal demon and he has just entered Agate Star area in the past 100 years? Could that be possible? Said a black, scaled man skeptically. If it's coincident, this possibility exists. The beautiful black, winged woman pondered and then nodded. But there's still another possibility. If he cultivates a peculiar power Upanishad, he can still destroy immortal grass. Although immortal grass is tenacious, it's not actually immortal. Seems like we have two possibilities here. If he's an immortal demon tribe's member, I think our master will be delighted, said the muscular man. Find them. We must identify them. Wulan said in a lower voice. All right. After the 3 demon experts set their target, they immediately took action. Another area. Tu Fei was flying madly. Some blood, halberd, followed him closely, not daring to linger. Boom! Tu Fei stopped by a massive pit. A group of more than 10 warriors was working in that pit. They were exploring the depth of the pit. Sometimes they laughed out loud. They had killed several warriors to seize this mine, which had a level 6 divine grade serene moonwood. At this moment, they were identifying the scope of the area to enter deeper and see if they could find more serene moon wood or not. The noise when Tu Fei descended changed their countenance. They emerged from the deep pit. All looked ferocious. However, seeing that it was Tu Fei, they behaved. One of them beamed a forced smile. Oh, Tu Fei Dage of the blood halberd. I want to find a person. Tu Fei snorted. His left eyes projected a light curtain which formed Shi Yan's appearance. Have you ever met this man? Oh, we have, that man smiled. Half a month ago we met him here. Just a small warrior. When we robbed this mine, he watched us. I think he likes corpses. He stayed idle by the corpses for a while. Tu Fei Dage, what do you need to find him for? Tu Fei's face was icy cold. None of this matters to you. You just need to tell me where he has gone. The man smiled reluctantly. He didn't dare to babble, pointing in a direction and talking firmly. That way. Yeah. With your speed, you'll catch him soon. I wish you success in advance. Tu Fei snorted coldly. He had a cold intention, gliding above the mine. He observed the pit for a while and then said, Give me 20 pieces of serene moon wood. More than 10 warriors were enraged, clenching their jars. At this moment, more than 10 blood halberds warriors quietly approached, circling this team. They smiled coldly as they were prepared to take action in any minute. Tu Fei Dage mines the serene moonwood with your wise vision. Yeah, this is our honor. The leader tried to press down his anger, obediently handing 20 pieces of serene moonwood. He stooped and spoke. Tu Fei Dage, are you pleased now? Tu Fei nodded. Well, you're lucky this time. If I had more time, it wouldn't have been easy to talk to me. Then Tu Fei brought blood halberds warriors who were going on their journey. Their wanton laughter came from the void. I wish you would die soon so you could reincarnate early. You mother asterisk cur. I've been laboring for so long to get 25 pieces of serene moonwood. This mad dog takes more than half. I'm having F asterisk king bad luck to encounter this man. After they didn't hear two-phase laughter anymore, the leader spat and then cursed. Forget it. We can't cause a grudge against Blood Halberd. Two-phase infamous for his madness and sheer wanton deeds. Just think that we got bad luck. A man sighed from inside the pit. It's what Broken Starfield is. You have the right if your fist is bigger. We also rob others, right? Everybody be prepared. We will find some weaker warriors to vent out our anger on. Let's go. After two-phase robbery, this group was dispirited. They didn't have the mood to dig further. They flew away, seeking a soft persimmon to squeeze and vent their anger at. Sure, Yen suddenly stopped by an area covered in purple clouds. Sitting in the dark purple ancient woods were two ghost mark fellows, one male and one female. They were exhausted with a pale face, trying to adjust their energy. They had met these two before. They were the couple who had mocked Fei Lon and Leona, saying that they were too ugly to go around like this and that it scared away men. At this moment, it seemed like they had just finished a battle, so they had to use the divine crystals to refill their energy. Their conditions weren't good either. They had bloodstains on their bodies. Evidently, they were hurt, but at least their wounds were less intense. Guys, long time no see. Sure, Yen watched them for a while, chuckled, and swaggered towards them. We meet again. Seems like we share some destiny. Haha. I wonder if you have time for a little chat. Fei Lon and Leona were eager to storm over. Their auras became dark and sinister. They followed him, walking toward the Ghost Mark couple. The Ghost Mark couple was closing their eyes to stabilize their energy. They opened their eyes at the same time and snorted disdainfully. They slowly got up. They thought that, even when they got hurt, it wasn't a problem to kill Shurian's team. You don't want to live. You want to attack us when we're wounded. Have you ever checked what the heck you are? The charming Ghost Mark woman wiped the blood trickle on the corner of her mouth, shouting coldly, "Court death!" Chapter 941. It's dark. Please close your eyes. Chapter 941. It's dark. Please close your eyes. Anthur. The Ghost Mark woman hissed, her face cold. A supple power of water arose in her soft palms, condensing into a drop of pure water. She didn't say anything that didn't make sense, snatching over them from a distance. That water drop became like a massive sea pouring down from the sky. That water drop was as big as a rice grain. It was crystal clear with a soft halo and immense steam. While falling, it enlarged. Shortly after, it became as big as a fist, bringing the power of 1,000-man army and the confining power of water. Shi Yen, Fei Lon, Leona, and Ka Tua became stern. Their spinning soul altars were like they were held back in a bog, which delayed their power Upanishad and slowed down their energy circulation. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The water drop fell. Ear-piercing explosions echoed like a mountain had just collapsed. The Ghost Mark man had peculiar bearings. He smiled brightly, and 2 fire snakes flew out of his eyes. The blazing red columns extended hundreds of meters. Despite the distance between them, they attacked Fei Lon and Leona. These 2 Ghost Mark fellows seemed to be husband and wife. One cultivated fire while the other cultivated a supple power of water. They had used duet cultivation to support each other. Their power Upanishad could blend with each other, and even their power Upanishads were opposed to each other. Not only that, the fiery power of his flame could strengthen the aura of her water. At the same time, a supple power of water could make the fire not discernible. Watch out! Fei Lon hissed, her figure disappearing. A moment later, Countless pale lines of corrosive energy appeared in the void between them. They weaved like a thick spider web, covering every inch of the void. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Several hundred corrosive lines merged into one flow, entering the water drop. Sounds of things being corroded arose. The fist-sized water drop shrank rapidly as a significant amount of steam was dissolved. Feylan's aura changed. Her god body even turned into a flow of corrosive air, shooting towards the ghost mark man. The ghost mark man was shocked. He was stunned because of Feylan's power Upanishad. The corrosion power Upanishad was one of the 8 great inheritances of the bloodthirsty cortege of 8. It was rare in any star area. It was unique compared to any popular power Upanishads. Not many people knew it. Evil and eccentric power Upanishads often hid terrifying abilities. The ghost mark couple understood it well. Seeing her corrosion power Upanishad, they immediately became severe. At this moment, Leona also expanded her god domain. The endless darkness diffused from her body like a black curtain, shrouding the entire sky, shading all the stars and absorbing all the light. It was getting dark. The absolute darkness engulfing any kind of light expanded hundreds of miles around Leona. People couldn't see any beam of light in every place that was too dark. This kind of darkness didn't affect only people's visions, but also the sea of consciousness, touching sense, and even perception. In the dark, the ghost mark couple had their 5 senses covered. Their eyes couldn't see their surroundings. Their god body couldn't sense the movement of air and energy. Their soul consciousness couldn't detect the auras of living beings. Their sea of consciousness had been covered. They suddenly became blind. Leona's dark power Upanishad would cover the eyes and soul consciousness of everybody but herself. She wasn't affected, and she could move spookily in the dark. She could approach the ghost mark couple easily to kill them. Shiryen and Katua were also shrouded in the darkness. Their perception wasn't different from the other 2. Although they had their eyes open, they weren't different from a blind man. All of their senses were blocked. However, it was temporarily. After 3 seconds, they felt a fantastic energy descend from the sky, hitting them. Under that strange power, they were able to get rid of this involuntary confinement. Their vision and soul consciousness weren't blocked anymore. The 2 exchanged looks. They had an odd countenance as they understood that it was Leona's power. Now she could release the darkness and control it as she pleased. She could make the dark shroud someone and spare the other with her thoughts. When she was in Heaven Punishment City, her control of dark power Upanishad hadn't reached this level yet. As she could manipulate it smoothly and effortlessly like this, her understanding of dark power Upanishad had reached a whole new level. Thus, Shiryen and Katua could see a dark shadow hover above the ghost mark woman. It looked like a spooky ghost, as if it could slowly seep into her head, moving towards her soul altar. Leona seemed to get into the other's sea of consciousness. Shiryen was scared. Fear crossed his face as he was stunned. Katua shivered. It seemed like he was affected. His chaotic energy was released slowly, twirling around his body to protect his soul altar and preventing the attack from others. The soul altar was the foundation of their lives. It was the control center of the warrior's powers, which stayed deep in the brains. Once it was intruded, the soul altar would stop moving. That moment was like a giant hand that had grabbed all the energy in the soul altar. The ghost mark woman had first sky of ethereal god realm cultivation base, 1 level higher than Leona's. In the absolute darkness, her soul altar was covered, but she didn't have any way to resist the invasion of her sea of consciousness. The immense, hazy aura of water suddenly became chaotic. The water drop she had released suddenly exploded like shattered glass. Foam and bubbles filled the sky and fell. Each of the bubbles hid the power of her water that could confine the soul. However, under the dark coverage, her soul consciousness couldn't guide her water power precisely. She couldn't do any harm to Shi Yen and Ka Tuo, let alone attack Leona, the master of darkness. Abruptly, an ear-piercing shrill came from the beautiful ghost Mark woman. It was like she was possessed as she crazily scratched her face with both of her jade-like hands. She was trying to damage her face that she had always felt proud of. Blood rolled down her face from the bone-deep scratches. Blood that looked like eccentric snakes flowed down her white wrists. It looked strange and evil that could give people goosebumps. The pretty woman that looked like a fairy was now like a wailing ghost. She looked even more terrible than Leona. This was Leona's retaliation. The infamous Crazy Devil was the regimental commander of the Bloody Legion of the Dark Firmament Divine Nation. When Leona's mental illness burst out, Shi Yen and Ka Tuo both got anxious. They exchanged looks, and they could see the deep fear in each other's eyes. Shi Yen suddenly made up his mind. From now on, he had to remember to never comment on Leona's appearance. This was her backward scale. It turned out that it wasn't that she didn't care about her appearance. Quite the contrary, actually, as she did mind it a lot. Anyone who dared to insult her look had to bear her bloody retaliation from this bloodthirsty thug. Evidently, that ghost Mark woman had been manipulated. Leona had occupied her mind, controlling her to damage her own face. Perhaps she knew what she was doing, but she couldn't resist as someone distorted her thoughts. Shi Yen guessed that she was still conscious from her mournful shrills that were like shrieks from an ancient beast. Shi Yen guessed that Leona had spared her that little consciousness. It was to let her know what she was doing to her face. Shi Yen shivered, taking a deep breath. He beamed a forced smile, murmuring, "Today I finally got to see how brutal the commander of the Bloody Legion is. Her reputation and attainment aren't fabricated. I underestimated her." "Yeah, of course." Ka Tuo's voice trembled. "Who isn't afraid of Madame Leona in Raging Flamestar area? She is the wildest executioner, the most brutal butcher. Compared to her, my title Bloody Slaughter shames me. My title is just a vain name." Shi Yen was surprised. "Little Ro!" The ghost Mark man screamed, his voice shaking the sky as he felt something. Lines of fire shot out, covering the woman. Boom! Flows of fire shot out from her god body, evaporating the blood trickles on her scary face. Tears brimmed, overflowing from her eyes. Those tears seemed to have the power of miraculous nature. Water power spun, arraying the magical water formation. Suddenly white waves rippled. A dark shadow flew out, as if the white crystal drops had forced it out. The shadow was struck, turning into small pieces of darkness. Leona, who had disappeared, reappeared. There was no emotion in her icy cold, dark green eyes. She beamed a satisfied smile. She felt content with her masterpiece. Looking at the ghost Mark woman who had scratched her own face, Leona crackled as if she went nuts. In her crazy laughter, she disappeared again into the darkness. Shi Yen and Ka Tuo couldn't see her anymore. "You guys stay away from this. You don't need to participate in this battle." Fei Lan's voice arose from a deep place in the darkness. In the next moment, Shi Yen and Ka Tuo were pushed out of the darkness shortly. They hovered 100 meters away from the battle site, staring at a block of black ink area stretching over 10 miles. However, they couldn't sense the violent, surging energy in that pitch-black area. However, they understood that Fei Lan and Leona were engaging in a battle against the ghost Mark couple to the death. They now had the most terrifying slaughter. From what they could observe, Fei Lan and Leona didn't fall into a disadvantageous situation. They took the upper hand indeed. If no one else was involved, the ghost Mark couple who were already wounded would be buried in this area. They weren't lucky enough to avoid death. Thus, insulting and Fei Lan and Leona's appearance was the worst mistake they could have made for their whole life, which made their lives turn to nothingness. Chapter 942. Consequences of Having a Lousy Mouth. Chapter 942. Consequences of Having a Lousy Mouth. Ka, Tua, and Shiryan couldn't see any anomaly or sense any energy in that area shrouded by the endless darkness. They stood sternly by the edge of the dark area, their face serious, frowning. They knew that Fei Lan and Leona were powerful. However, they were confronting a couple which wasn't weaker than them. Their realms were even higher. Although they were wounded, Fei Lan and Leona weren't so sure about their victory in this death-or-life battle. Thus, Katua and Shiryan were anxious. Senior, do you think Precursor Fei Lan and Leona Dijia could win? Katua kept silent for a while. He couldn't help but ask. Shiryan frowned, contemplating for a while. He answered Katua with a question. Katua, if you fight with a third sky of original God Realm Warrior, do you think you could win? Katua pondered. After a while, Katua guffawed evilly. Possibly. I don't know why, but I always feel my Chaos Power Upanishad is much stronger after I've had it complete and got it back on the right track. I'm confident I can skip a level and fight with the opponent. He said confidently and affirmatively. He was much proud of his Power Upanishad. Shiryan nodded, smiling. The Power Upanishads of Precursor Fei Lan and Leona Dijia aren't worse than yours. In other words, they should have the same ability. Tuo's eyes brightened. Precursor Fei lands at the first sky of Ethereal God Realm. As far as we're concerned, if she has to fight for her life, she could resist a second sky of Ethereal God Realm expert. And Leona, she has the competence to fight against a first sky of Ethereal God Realm expert. And that couple got hurt before. Tua laughed out loud, nodded continually. Listening to you, I suddenly feel that they will win for sure. I think so. Shiryan suddenly calmed down. Our powers, Upanishads, are unique. They're much different from the popular ones. Rare powers, Upanishads, guarantee stronger and more bizarre powers. If you can skip one level and fight, they can too. They won't be defeated. Senior, Katua was astounded for a while, looking at Shiryan as if he suddenly recalled something. If you fight with the other, which is the highest realm you can resist, your powers Upanishads are even more peculiar than ours. You have 3 powers Upanishads at the same time. You fused with the origin. Which level of the opponent you can resist without falling into a disadvantaged situation? Shiryan was startled. I've never tried. I'm not sure. However, I think I won't be damaged much if I fight with a third sky of original God Realm Warrior. Perhaps I could win. Tua was shaken. After a while, he beamed a forced smile. Senior, you're worth your name. Boom! A blood-soaked figure flew out from the darkness while they were talking. Along the way she gliding, the ground was turned into a bloody deep ditch. Swish! She halted right in front of Shiryan and Katua. The ghost Mark woman was blown through the ground for hundreds of meters. At this moment, the ghost Mark woman was blood-soaked. Her clothes were torn, revealing her skin. On her exposed skin, there were many cuts as if someone had used a sharp knife to scratch her body. Hundreds of deep-to-bone cuts were still bleeding. Her face, neck, breasts, legs, and shoulder were bleeding as if she was executed by dismembering. She looked so pathetic they felt it hard to look at her. Too pitiful. Shiryan shivered inwardly. He couldn't help but gave a forced smile. Just one comment saying you look ugly and you get it done this way? If you mind your appearance that much, why won't you find a solution to recover your face? It's obvious, but you don't let people talk about it. Such a stubborn madwoman. Shiryan shouted in his mind. Tua shivered. He instinctively lifted his head. A ghostly shadow with darkness swirling around her, arose, then flew toward them. Top, top, top. Blood dripped from the fingertips of her relaxed hands. Apparently, it came from the ghost mark woman. Shi Yan observed. He could see pieces of flesh. Leona grabbed the ghost mark woman, who had insulted her, then used her fingernail to cut, bleeding every inch of that woman's attractive body. She had cuts hundreds of times, not even spare the area between the woman's thighs. Too wicked. The ghost mark woman was dying, looking at the crazy resentment in her dim eyes. Shi Yan and Ka-Tua felt sorry for her, thinking that she had terrible luck. Because of her lousy mouth and some insulting words, she bought herself a death sentence. She got so many cuts on her body, which made her more pathetic. Why didn't she do that? Swoosh! The water blue soul altar floated up from the woman's head. Her ethereal soul and her appearance were the same with her real body, with deep-to-bone resentment and wild, bloodthirsty desire. It glared at Leona. Leona acted as if she didn't see it. She strolled toward Shi Yan, throwing him a glance. Why are you still standing there idle? Shi Yan reacted. He touched his forehead, and his soul altar floated out of his head. The black hole on the Upanishad tier of his soul altar enlarged, generating a terrifying suction force. The soul and the soul altar of the ghost marks woman swayed violently. She had a deep fear on her mesmerizing face. Her soul shivered, trying her best to wiggle to get away. Usually it was hard to destroy the soul altar unless using the original incipient grade weapon or the most terrifying powers Upanishad. That woman, thought Leona, couldn't destroy her soul altar. And with the unique features of the soul altar that could get through confining abilities, she could escape this battle site shortly. Unfortunately, she didn't know Shi Yan, a monster. Shi Yan had the lowest realm here, but his powers, Upanishad, were the evilest ones. That power Upanishad in the form of a black hole could swallow soul altars. At the moment the suction force reached her, she felt something wrong. In the next moment, she had to struggle to get rid of it. However, it's too late. No matter how hard she had wiggled, she couldn't get away from the black hole's suction force. That black hole was the nemesis of soul altar. It pulled the soul altar little by little. Slowly, the soul altar disappeared into the black hole. At this moment, Shi Yan and Ka-Tua understood why the wounded body of this woman shot out from the dark, falling right under their feet. Leona wanted to let Shi Yan engulf that woman's soul altar. Swoosh! The woman's soul altar disappeared entirely into the black hole. All of her vital signs vanished, as if a sharp knife had cut off all the connection in just a blink. This world would no longer have that woman's aura. She left no trace, as her soul had utterly perished. Deep in the dark, the ghost mark man seemed to get it right away. The painful screech arose from the immense darkness, just like when a beast had lost its mate. In his pitiful roar, a sea of fire emerged in the dark, flying away. I swear I will use the last days of my life to hunt you down. It's my sole purpose to live, as long as you are still alive. As long as you still exist, wherever you are, I will skin you and draw your bones alive. I will make you suffer for 10,000 years before you can die. I swear you must die in the most painful ways. The resentful curse of the man reverberated unceasingly within 100 miles. After his aura disappeared completely, his cursing was still echoing. Leona frowned, her body sparkling a dark light. The darkness, shrouding the world behind them, turned into clusters of black clouds, entering her body. After several seconds, all the darkness had retreated into her body. Light reappeared. Fei Lan's lonely, hunching figure walked toward them from the battle area, were filled with crushed stone. With only one step, she could cross several hundred meters. Shortly after, she arrived. That guy has a higher realm. He's about to reach the second sky of ethereal god realm. As he wanted to get away at any cost, I couldn't stop him. Fei Lan's eyes were dark, but her voice cold. I left the corrosive energy in his body. It will corrode his flesh gradually. He couldn't recover easily. He's not a threat now. Oh. Shurian, Katua, and Leona nodded, listening to her. Everybody knew how wicked Fei Lan's corrosive power was. Fan, he got struck once, and he died days later as his vitality was corroded to death. Corrosive energy could caustically wear out flesh and blood energy. As soon as she left a beam of her corrosive energy in the warrior's body, although he wasn't hurt much, as time flies, the terrifying effect of her corrosive energy would become significant. This time, Fei Lan had seeped her erosive energy into that ghost mark man. As he had wounded before, he wouldn't have the strength to battle with them in a short time. If he didn't have the magical medicines or pellets to support, his realm could be degraded, while his body was decaying. Although his words were threatening, he didn't have the competence to do that. It would sound like a joke then. Anyway, Shurian didn't feel tense or anxious. Facing a dying expert, what would he be afraid? Smiling, Shurian looked at the blue ice cage behind piles of crushed stone. After they had found the ghost mark couple, Shurian had confined Jiyu and put him away. On the one hand, it would prevent him from seeing things he shouldn't. On the other hand, it would save him from an unexpected attack. Sure, Yen released a beam of energy. An icy cold energy poured into the ground, stretching toward the blue ice cage. He smiled and said, I need to adjust my energy. In a short time, he won't wake up. Fei Lan, Leona, and Katua were happy. They didn't wait for him to ask them to prepare. They sat down in front of him like the eager students waiting for their teacher. Shurian laughed, sat down, then said cheerily, We got the power and soul energy of an ethereal god, realm warrior. Yeah, you guys prepare to receive your gifts. Haha, following senior, we'll have meat to eat. Katua smiled, talking servilely, winking and waiting. Chapter 943. Connect two places. Chapter 943. Connect two places. After 1 hour, pure energy diffused from Shurian's god body and soul altar. Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka-Tuo's eyes brightened. The blood mark on their glabella shimmered with scarlet halos as they quietly took in the energy from Shurian. The energy from Shurian's acupuncture points could strengthen their essence, Qi ancient tree, while the soul energy from him could nurture their soul altar, facilitating them to understand the powers Upanishad better. Not long afterward, Fei Lan, Leona, and Ka-Tua were full of spirit. Their faces shimmered with strange red halos of abundant blood qi. Sure, Yen had become the source of energy, the pure energy emitted from his flesh, bones, and blood, together with the mysterious energy from the black hole congregated in his soul altar, quenching it. Just like when he trained his body, these energies made his soul altar more tenacious. Normally, the soul altar was like an illusion, a shadow in the water. People could see it, but they couldn't touch it. However, after quenching his soul altar many times, Shurian's soul altar became a real matter. It looked like it was made of a combination of metal, jade, and stone. The edges of the soul altar looked sharp and thin like a precious cut jewel. It gave people a feeling that they could feel it using their fingers. Yen could actually feel his soul altar changing silently after having the tonic from the marvelous, mysterious energy. This change happened little by little. It couldn't be finished at once, so he hadn't seen any significant change yet. However, Yen understood that after each quenching, his soul altar became more magical. The essence Qi ancient tree was still thriving. It was crystal clear like a jewel with God power moving inside. Each branch was brimming with immense, pure energy, which was the fountain of his strength, the foundation of his existence, and the motivation that made him stronger. At this moment, each branch of his essence, Qi ancient tree, was filled with energy. Unless he went through another breakthrough to expand his essence Qi ancient tree, he would have no more room to store energy. The energy stored in his body had reached its limit. Smiling, Shiyan opened his eyes. He silently checked his condition for a while and didn't feel dispirited. He was just one step away from second sky of original God realm. If he had another comprehension of his powers Upanishad, he could break through smoothly. He needed an opportunity. Fei Lan and Ka Tuo were still refining energy. They sat still as usual while energy twirled around their bodies. However, Leona had something different. With a closer look, he found a strange, dark light start to wind around Leona's god body. Shortly after, Leona's body looked like black ink, turning into a thick block of darkness. This kind of darkness wasn't from her god domain. It appeared directly on her skin and expanded. At this moment, Leona was the darkness as her body was able to swallow all of the light. Shi Yan knitted his brows, watching quietly. The tail of his brow twitched as if he got something. Fei Lan opened her eyes all of a sudden, sparkling with joy and hissing. She's about to break through. Shi Yan was shocked, jolting up and speaking. That was really fast. When we were in Heaven Punishment City, her breakthrough wasn't completed yet. Her attainment in the realm comprehension was profound, but her energy hadn't accumulated enough. That was why she had reached only third sky of original God realm, but not the new realm. Fei Lan took a deep breath. She looked at him with her dim eyes while she spoke earnestly. The heart of darkness she got from you hides a marvelous intent domain, which is the essence of dark power Upanishad. As long as she keeps the heart of darkness in her body, her understanding of her realm will get more profound. In other words, her realm comprehension was sufficient, and that was why her usage of dark power had become more exquisite and magnificent. At this moment, Ka Tuo also woke up. He looked at Leona with admiration. Ethereal God realm. I long for it. Sure, Yen walked to Leona, contemplating. Afterward, he asked Fei Lan, how long does it take to break through to ethereal God realm? It could be quick, or it could take around 1 or 2 months. It will depend on her. We can't say the exact time. Fei Lan became stern as she knew it wasn't a good thing. We're in Broken Star Field. Breaking through here isn't a good idea. That Ghostmark clan man could return with his friends. If that happens, it will be big trouble for us. Ka Tuo also got it. His countenance changed. Then what should we do? If my timing is correct, Naxian and Karthu should be in original God realm. Shi Yan had an idea, all of a sudden, smiling. It's easy to solve then. Under the other's gaze, Shi Yan caressed his ring. A smoke fumed as if he was trying to draw the whole world out of that ring. Floating on that shady smoke was a formation made of empty fantasy crystals and dozens of supporting materials, refined by an expert using space power Upanishad. This formation could connect to Mother Formation directly. The brilliant child formation slowly landed neatly in front of Shi Yan under his power's control. Boom, boom, boom. Divine crystals with energy fluctuations flew out of the ring, falling precisely into each concave spot on the edge of the child formation. After he had finished inlaying dozens of thousands of divine crystals, the child formation of the mother and child sky linking formation had bunches of beautiful light. Each of them was like a space door aligning one after another to an unknown space under the direction of space power and divine crystals as the energy supply. The divine crystals started to release their energy. Shi Yan concentrated, sitting neatly inside the child formation, releasing space energy. Fine space, slits appeared around him. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Those space slits seemed to be revived, seeping into the formation like a swimming school of fish. They piled up on each space door. Bang! Light rippled through the child formation, stirring up the whole place. A brilliant, dazzling light ring appeared in the center of the formation. At the moment the light ring bloomed, Shi Yan disappeared. His aura was also gone. The beautiful child formation now had a flickering light as space energy fluctuated. Gradually, a light door was formed. Through that door, they saw many shadows, and all of them were the ones that they knew in Old Orchid Star. They saw Ka Fu, Long Zhu, and Na Xen waiting at the other end, as if they knew something would happen shortly. "Let Leona Dijie in." Shi Yan's voice came from behind the light door. "Ask her to hold her energy while crossing the door, or else I'm afraid this door won't be able to endure it." Fei Lan reacted, placing a fingertip on her temple. A flow of subtle soul energy flew out, falling into Leona's sea of consciousness. Leona hadn't noticed the changes in the outer world. Listening to Fei Lan's call, she woke up from her state. She shivered and then opened her eyes. She understood what was happening. Fei Lan didn't need to explain. The aura of her dark power retreated. She turned into a beam of dark light, flying through the light door of the child formation. Center of the ancient city, Old Orchid Star. The mother formation stood on a newly installed stone platform. At this moment, it had magical space, ripples, and magnificent light. Long Zhu, Na Xan, and the others were guarding the mother formation. Their faces were solemn, waiting. A light sparkled. Shi Yan appeared, standing on the mother formation. Grinning, he felt satisfied, looking at Karthu, Long Zhu, and Na Xen. "This formation is really wonderful. We can move between the life stars freely. With this formation, no matter where I am, I can return in just a blink." As soon as he said that, Karthu, Na Xen, Long Zhu, and Yunhao cheered up. Swoosh! Leona appeared behind him with a dark aura. After she landed on the mother formation, she nodded to Shi Yan and then disappeared. She found a manor, which hadn't decayed after dozens of thousands of years, and sat down quietly. "After I've broken through, you have to bring me back to Broken Starfield." A soul thought of Leona appeared in Shi Yan's head after she had gone. Shi Yan smiled, nodded, and then turned to Na Xan. "How are you doing? Anything serious happened in Old Orchid Star lately?" "Everything's fine." Na Xan smiled sincerely. "The kids are all happy. The cultivating materials we brought home from Broken Star City can boost up their cultivating progress. They can condense the god body soon. And Zhen Gu is recovering well. He'll be all right in 2 months at most. We bought him good pellets, which are increasing his recovery speed." They didn't enter Broken Star Field. After buying a lot of cultivating materials, they took the mother formation and returned it to Old Orchid Star. This time, the giant tribe had a big harvest. They brought home a significant amount of cultivating materials, which stirred up the entire tribe. They finally found hope in their lives. Karthu used Shi Yan's divine crystals to buy a lot of cultivating materials, pellets, power Upanishad scriptures, and suitable training yards for lower realm warriors. He also explained the wonderful and yet strange features of Agate Star area to warriors from Grace Mainland and Raging Flame Star area. "Where are you guys? Still in Broken Star City?" After Na Xan calmed down as he couldn't hold his curiosity. "In the Broken Star Field. We want to explore for a while." Shi Yan didn't tell them the details. He just smiled and said, "Precursor, please help me take care of my family and friends here. And as for the ones I've rescued, please hide them away. Don't let anyone know about them." Na Xan nodded. "Don't worry. I know what to do." "Okay, then I'll go now. Send someone to watch over this mother formation for me." Shi Yan asked Long Zhu and then disappeared into the light door. Shortly after, the light on the mother formation vanished. Everything resumed its normal state. Chapter 944, Whereabouts Disclosed. Chapter 944, Whereabouts Disclosed, Undersir. AI Fu's Ancient Building, Broken Star City. 3 third sky of original God realm experts stood in the hall. With logbooks in their hands, they were reporting the recent turnover of their business. They reported all transactions completed in detail to AI Fu. AI Fu lay on his soft sofa, drinking good wine. He felt very satisfied. Abruptly, a small bell near him rang hurriedly. AI Fu frowned, putting down his glass of wine. He waved his hand impatiently to the 3 who were still reading their records, asking them to leave immediately. The 3 of them bowed and excused themselves. After they had left, AI Fu gave a low shout. An old man emerged from the 5-colored passage behind him. It was his guard who watched over the treasury. He had sent him to Broken Star Field to keep track of Yan. A spooky shadow slowly emerged in the void between AI Fu and that old man. That shadow was slowly moving and merging in one place. AI Fu had a dark face. He snorted. "Do you know how much precious materials I had to use to gather your soul from Broken Star Field? If your intelligence isn't worth it, don't blame me for not having mercy." The gloomy shadow smiled reluctantly. "Young master, don't worry. The news I got this time will frighten you. You won't feel like it was a waste." AI Fu was surprised. He nodded. "Tell me." "I always follow your advice carefully. I've watched the team of that kid. After they entered Broken Star Field, they behaved well for a long time. They didn't have any dispute with other people. They never attacked anyone deliberately. Their calm manner made me feel strange." "Get straight to the main point," shouted AI Fu. The spooky shadow was bewildered. "Okay then. There were 2 Ghost Mark clan warriors. You knew them. They were the troopers of Niger of the Ghost Mark clan in the far west region. They were a couple. The man was called Gate and the woman was called Feng Ro. Young master, do you remember them?" "I know them. They're all at first sky of ethereal god realm. They used to buy my stuff. Niger has 3rd sky of ethereal god realm cultivation base. He is a talented one of a family of the Ghost Mark clan in Agate Star area. They are in charge of the far west region, right?" Feng Ro's dead. The ones you've asked me to watch killed her. AI Fu's interest was stirred. Impossible. Feng Ro was at first sky of ethereal god realm. Even if she couldn't win, she shouldn't be killed. What happened? The ominous shadow arranged his ideas and narrated what he had witnessed. AI Fu and the old man listened to him. Their faces grimaced. "You meant Yan had swallowed Feng Ro's soul altar." "Are you sure he did that?" AI Fu's god body shivered. He couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. "Swallowed? How? What kind of power Upanishad can swallow a soul altar?" "Sure, Yen, doesn't he has only first sky of original god realm? He swallowed Feng Ro's soul altar. Are you sure you aren't mistaken?" "I saw it." The gloomy shadow was also frightened. "Unbelievable. I couldn't believe it. I had never seen anything like that. It was scary, all right. A first sky of original god realm warrior has engulfed the soul altar of an ethereal god realm warrior. Oh my god. It was against any of my knowledge of earth and heaven's powers." The old man by AI Fu was also scared. He looked so shocked. "Do you know any power Upanishad that can swallow the soul altar?" AI Fu turned and asked that old man. The old man shook his head continually. "Never before." 2 people and a soul sank into an annoying silence. After a long moment, AI Fu asked weakly, "You said that the 4 of them have a magical blood mark. What kind of blood mark is it?" "Young master, do you remember a legend in Broken Star Field that thousands of years ago someone had intruded Broken Star Field? The one who could bring death to anyone else? Tens of thousands of living beings were killed wherever he went. That person also had the same blood mark. If I'm not wrong, Yan's team has the same mark." Then AI Fu and the old man were stunned. They didn't say anything for quite a long time. The powers Upanishads they cultivate are evil and peculiar. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I would never have believed in the existence of such supernatural powers Upanishad. But now I've seen 4. It was very shocking. The ominous shadow contemplated for a while and then added, "He has fixed the mother and child sky linking formation that he bought from you. He has used it already." Ai Fu was perplexed. After a while he scolded, "That cunning kid!" "Young master, I think it's critical. I think we should report this to the master. Those 4 have a mysterious origin. They aren't like Agate Star Area's warriors. The man who cultivated death power Upanishad used to visit the Agate Star area. He rose the blood rain and stinky wind wherever he passed by. He was so formidable." The old man suggested seriously, "About that blood mark, no one knows which force it represents. But if Shi Yen and his people have it, it should relate to some force for sure." The old man felt terrible. As he realized something wrong happened, he was extremely restless. Pulling himself together, he took another deep breath and continued, "Young master, we shouldn't act rashly. If they belong to a mighty force, I'm afraid that we shouldn't provoke them. When the incipient God realm expert subordinates are killed, he would know immediately and he would hunt the murderer down. I think we shouldn't mess with them. It is better, or else we could bring trouble to our master." The gloomy shadow had the same idea. "I also feel that they're really intimidating. If they belong to a force, that force should be unimaginably strong. Being their enemies isn't a good move." Ai Fu furrowed his brows tightly. What the others said had silenced him for a long moment. He pondered for a while, sighing begrudgingly. "Report to my grandfather immediately. Let him decide. And as for you, you should notify Old Han and tell him not to act rashly. If Blood Halberd wants to die, just let them go. We won't get involved." Old Han was the other 3rd sky of ethereal god realm he had sent to save Shi Yen to ask for the 1,000-fold lotus in case Tu Fei wanted to kill him. However, after that gloomy shadow saw what he shouldn't, Ai Fu was scared. He wasn't an impulsive guy. He knew how to protect himself. That was how he was able to live comfortably in Broken Star City. And I got something else. I saw people of Blood Devil in Broken Star Field. The shadow hesitated for a while and then added, "Seems like they were collecting materials for Blood Devil. They had a short encounter with Shi Yen. Now they are looking for him." "Blood Devil? The immortal demon tribe of Agate Star area?" Ai Fu was panicked. "Yeah, I guessed. They thought that Shi Yen and Blood Devil have some relationship. They are finding him and they aren't far from him." "I guess they're going to see him soon," said the gloomy shadow. Ai Fu and the old man exchanged looks. They saw fear in each other's eyes. People of Blood Devil have never operated in the far west region. Why are they here? Ai Fu took a deep breath, beaming a forced smile. Broken Star Field is so lively lately. Even Blood Devil has sent his fellows here. Did they verify Shi Yen and Blood Devil's relationship? Probably, nodded the shadow. You should be more careful. Blood Devil's troops can feel your existence. You just need to peek a little bit. Don't let them catch you at any cost. Ai Fu stood up from his couch. Notify my grandfather immediately. Tell him everything. I can't understand the whole picture. Blood Devil is a tyrannical, arrogant expert. He hates tiny areas, but he still sends his men to Broken Star Field. What kind of vandalism is that? Does he have mercy to spare us, local warriors? Although Ai Fu had a foul mouth, his mood was so bad. He picked up a jug of wine, drinking crazily. Dash. Wu Lan was hovering above a blue lake, closing her eyes to sense. The two-thirds sky of ethereal god, realm, muscular, black-scaled men were so bored, watching here and there. More than 100 warriors were hiding inside a deep pit next to them. They didn't dare crane their necks to watch. A thin and small dark spirit old man stooped his head in distress. He was holding a fantasy sky ring, offering it sincerely. Precursors, this ring stores all of our harvest in Broken Starfield. Please take a look. More than 100 warriors, staying in the dark pit, not far from them, had sent him to talk on their behalf. 10 days ago, they had killed around 10 experts to occupy this mine. They were happily exploiting a strange metal when they found Wu Lan's team. They became reluctant. Although Wu Lan was finding something, and she didn't want to see them, they were still panicked. Thus, we have this situation. This man who came here to talk to Wu Lan's team wanted to offer their harvest, so Wu Lan would show them mercy and not kill them. In Broken Star Field, people would rob and snatch the harvest of the weaker warriors. If they were in a good mood, they would only take the materials. If they were in a bad mood, they often killed all of the poor warriors. Wu Lan opened her eyes, unable to help but glare at the dark spirit old man. Get lost. Do you think that we want the toys that you're exploiting here? We have only these things, the old man discolored, trying to bend his body lower. If you want anything we have, just say so. Please, you don't need to be polite to us. Haha, people in Broken Starfield are interesting indeed. As they are thugs, they think that everyone else is a thug like them. Mocked one of the black-scaled warriors. Yeah, since we've come here, we've met a lot like him. They offered us things as if they're our grandchildren, the other brawny man said. *T. I didn't think that a remote area like the far west region could be that chaotic. Seems like everywhere in this place will be the same. No place can have peace. I said get lost. Didn't you hear that? Wu Lan was annoyed. A shiny light emerged from her palm. Shortly, she remembered something. The light dot on her finger turned into Shi Yan's image. Have you ever met this man? Yeah, several days ago he crossed this place. He went in that direction. The dark spirit old man clarified with a stern face. They're a group of 5. They have a teenager guide and an old woman. This man said in detail, as though he was afraid that Wu Lan wouldn't feel satisfied with his answer. He gestured, funnily swinging his arm. All right, Wu Lan snorted, didn't bother to look at him, nodded to the 2 muscular black-scaled men. They jumped and disappeared shortly. More than 100 warriors hiding in the deep pit sighed in relief as they saw the 3 disappear. They thought they had good luck today. Chapter 945. Revive the Death Trap. Chapter 945. Revive the Death Trap, Ursur. Here we are. This place. You halted, not daring to step further. Instead, he pointed in a direction. Shi Yan, Fei Lan, and Ka Tuo stopped by him. In front of them, a luxuriant forest stood with wet ground and thick, lively energy from the woods. It was utterly contrary to what he had described before. Fei Lan and Ka Tuo glared at him with malicious looks, giving him a snort. You beamed a forced smile. It's inside. You guys should go inside the forest. You will see anomalies. He's right. It's here. Shi Yan contemplated for a while and then said, the death aura inside is really strong. I have a dear feeling with it. I know this aura. It's exactly the same as my god domain when I use Death Power Upanishad. Fei Lan and Ka Tuo were surprised. Shi Yan led the team, walking into the woods without waiting for them to discuss more. Fei Lan was baffled, but she immediately followed him. How about you? Ka Tuo turned around, looking at Jiyu, who was shaking like a leaf. Are you going with us to take a look? You shook his head hastily. No thanks. I almost died in there last time. I won't go in. You guys just go. Don't wait for me. While talking, he moved backward, getting further away from the forest, as if this forest had some terrifying ghosts or monsters that could take his life away at any moment. Ka Tuo grinned silently. He didn't mind the boy anymore, walking behind Shi Yan and Fei Lan. 10 minutes later, he paused as fear sparkled in his eyes. The center of this lush forest had an area of 10 miles that didn't even have a leaf of grass. There was no energy fluctuation. A quiet, desolate aura hovered, frightening people's souls and making them shiver in fear. Situated in the middle of an exuberant forest, this place looked very peculiar. The ground was damp, but it had no single weed. At the same time, in an area where the death aura couldn't reach, it was luxuriant. All kinds of florists that were extraordinarily thriving. This place was so eccentric. The core had a heavy death aura while its outskirts were lively. It was the same as Shi Yan's god domain, which was contrary to each other but had the same magical effects. Once Shi Yan urged the god domain using Death Power Upanishad, the area around him would become absolutely quiet. Then it would proactively take life energy, killing other living beings. However, as the core of his power, Shi Yan's god body would receive the vivid vitality. He could harvest life energy in his dead territory to strengthen himself. This was contrary to this forest. There were no sound or beam of life energy 10 miles around the forest. It didn't have a leaf of grass as the dense death aura hovered. People who came nearer would feel like they were walking toward the abyss of death, walking on the road of self-destruction. Fei Lan and Ka Tuo weren't exceptions. They were just standing near the edge of the death aura area, but they still felt fear arising from deep inside their hearts. Their souls and vitality seemed to be drawn away, turning into light dots and vanishing. Fei Lan and Ka Tuo discolored. They didn't dare linger near the dead area anymore. They retreated into the forest. They finally calmed down, but they still looked frightened. That death intent domain was so scary. We just stood outside, but we couldn't endure it. I wonder how many dangers are hiding in there. No wonder, gee, you didn't dare go into the woods. Ka Tuo was still frightened, shivering. Fei Lan was a little better than him. However, her eyes showed her anxiety, which was caused by Shi Yan. He got into the area. Not only did he enter, but he was also walking towards the center where the death aura was thickest. He stood silently in the middle of the place, his face astounded. He seemed to be sensing something. "Senior, are you all right?" Ka Tuo lowered his voice, asking instinctively. Fei Lan didn't look at him, still frowning at Shi Yan. She said thoughtfully, "If something happens to him here, I'm afraid no one in the entire Agate Star area will be able to get in here. I think this place exists because of him." Because of him? Ka Tuo was bewildered. Impossible? He has never met that person before, right? Why did someone leave this place for him? Did he know Shi Yan would enter Agate Star area and visit Broken Star Field? It's unimaginable. I think it's impossible. At his realm, he could anticipate anything. Shi Yan received his inheritance, went to Raging Flame Star area, connected to the Dark Sky family, and then went to God Perishing Land. From the God Perishing Land, he went to Old Orchid Star, staying in the far west region. It seems like a hand in the dark has arranged everything. It was all set thousands of years ago. Fei Lan considered her wording. She muttered, "I think he knew that Shi Yan would come. That was why he left the intent domain in Broken Star Field, waiting for Shi Yan." Ka Tuo was astounded. He still found it unbelievable. However, he believed it shortly after. Shi Yan had undergone many changes. Standing in the core of the death intent domain where the deadly aura was thickest, Shi Yan used his death power Upanishad to release the god domain. Death energy fluctuated, stretching from his god domain and blending in with the death aura of the place. In the next moment, Ka Tuo had a magical feeling. He thought that this place was Shi Yan's home. It has been waiting for him to come home. It was whispering and reporting to its master about every difficulty it had experienced. A strange color was revealed in Shi Yan's eyes. Both of his arms swung as if he was touching death intent domain. The magical death energy fluctuation expanded from Shi Yan as the center and reaching further outside. Each of the rich, ancient trees in the forest and tenacious foliage withered under the death intent domain. Their vitality was all taken. The silent light, dots carrying life energy, congregated like a drizzle falling into the sea. Shi Yan was that sea, taking in all the energy around him and receiving a gift from his precursor, including the cognition of Death Power Upanishad. Fei Lan and Ka Tua were panic-stricken. They had to retreat further away from this area. Suddenly, Shi Yan's power Upanishad changed. The vigorous energy that fiercely flooded his body was rejected, shooting everywhere. A miracle happened. Those dead ancient trees and foliage were revived under this life energy. The withered trees became lively. Buds and leaves started to grow at a speed that naked eyes could observe. Ka Tua and Fei Lan gawked, dropping their jaws. Shi Yan's god domain changed again. His entire body became heavy with death aura. He had no life energy, as if his blood chi also had death chi. His heartbeat even paused. However, his god domain was lively and vigorous with countless life energy fluctuations. Under his control, they shrouded everywhere, giving vitality to the shriveled plants. He switched death and life energy fluctuations. He can make these two contrary auras take turns and merge. Is he trying to fuse them? Ka Tua was bewildered. How could he fuse Death Upanishad and Life Upanishad? How could he? I don't know if it's a fusion or not, but I think he has something magical, said Fei Lan softly. While they were talking, Shi Yan's god domain changed again. The massive, deadly aura was wiped out, replaced by vigorous life energy. The god domain around him now had the fierce death aura. Those revived trees withered and died the second time. Ka Tua and Fei Lan gawked. They understood that Shi Yan was testing his cognition of Death Power Upanishad. He had used the Power Upanishad magnetic field of that precursor to sublimate his own Power Upanishad. Evidently, Shi Yan had harvested the inheritance that was more profound than his own Death Upanishad. This inheritance wasn't simply about death. It was about his new perception of life and an approach to the soul. Time flew quietly. Fei Lan and Ka Tua were waiting for Shi Yan to comprehend the true meaning of his Power Upanishad. Afterward, he would awaken from his comprehension. One day, Fei Lan jolted up in panic. She was comprehending her corrosion power Upanishad, and something alarming struck her. Fei Lan's reaction made Ka Tua stand up and frown as he looked around. He lowered his voice and said, "Precursor, is something wrong?" He looked at Shi Yan. Shi Yan stood in the center of the dead zone. He was still switching between death and life power Upanishad, trying to understand the magical mysteries of the two contrary powers Upanishad. There was nothing unusual that happened to him. It's not Shi Yan. Someone is coming towards us rapidly. They're almost here, hissed Fei Lan. Ka Tua discolored, shouting, "My senior is studying his power. He can't be disturbed now. Who is that blind little thug?" "Little thug?" Fei Lan forced a smile. "It better be just a thug. His realm is one level higher than mine." Pausing for a while, Fei Lan took a deep breath and spoke resolutely. "We can't let him come close to this area. We must stop them on the way. We must try our best to seize more time for Shi Yan." "Who is it? Did the ghost Mark guy come with his friends?" asked Ka Tua. Shaking her head, Fei Lan said, "I don't know. Regardless of who's coming, we must stop him. We can't afford to let Shi Yan be disturbed at this moment. This opportunity is rare. Once he gets bothered, I'm not sure if we can get into the intent domain the second time. It happens only once in a blue moon. We must seize more time for him." "Understood." Ka Tua nodded, his face serious. He grinned fiendishly. "Then bring it on. Let's go." Fei Lan turned into a white-gray light, flying out of the forest. After 15 minutes, a tornado came roaring and howling. It crushed the stone around easily as if it was breaking dried branches. This enormous tornado wanted to cover the entire sky. A figure was shouting and thundering in the center of the tornado. His angry voice shook the sky. He was Tu Fei of Blood Halberd. More than 10 warriors of Blood Halberd emerged from a far distance. They were circling them. Apparently, they didn't want to let Fei Lan's team escape alive. "Finally, I found you guys." Tu Fei thundered like an enraged wild beast. He said maliciously, "Bring that kid to me. He must die for what he has done. I want to skin him alive. Beat me and then talk." Fei Lan's face was cold. As she knew Tu Feng's murder was disclosed, she didn't want to conceal it anymore. She tried to stick his resentment on her. "I killed your little brother. It's not related to Shi Yan. Don't shoot at the wrong target." "Right. That kid's realm is low. How could he have killed my brother?" Tu Fei roared crazily. He turned into a tornado, storming toward her. His ethereal extent appeared above his head. Chapter 946. Lift the Siege. Chapter 946. Lift the Siege, Undersir. Tu Fei and Blood, halberds, warriors, came all the way from Broken Star City. Their purpose was clear, to take revenge for Tu Feng. Shi Yan and Fei Lan were the targets of this mission. Shi Yan was in his critical moment of comprehending his realm. If he got disturbed and woke up from his cultivation, it would be tough for him to enter that intent domain the second time. In the eyes of Fei Lan and Ka Tuo, Shi Yan had done many things for them. It was time to pay back his favors. Thus, they stood up and faced Tu Fei and his blood halberd. Although their realms and manpower were lower, Fei Lan and Ka Tuo never thought about stepping back. They never thought about abandoning Shi Yan and leaving. It was because Shi Yan's their hope. As long as Shi Yan was alive, as long as Shi Yan could get gradually stronger, as long as they went the same way as Shi Yan, they would receive enormous benefits. After one battle, they would accumulate a tremendous amount of energy and refine their soul altars at the same time. After they had experienced this kind of indescribable benefit, they never wanted to ignore it. Growling, Ka Tuo roared like an enraged beast. He suddenly floated up into the air. Ka Tuo released his god domain. Chaotic energy appeared, uprooting trees around them. They twirled around his god domain together with crushed stones, logs, grass, sand, and gravel. They looked like schools of fish moving around Ka Tuo. A flow of fierce, chaotic energy expanded from Ka Tuo. Boom, boom, boom. Rocks and trees exploded. The area where Ka Tuo hovered seemed to be smashed. The chaotic energy twisted everything. None of the warriors of blood, halberd, accompanying Tu Fei had reached ethereal god realm. They were all in third sky of King God realm and the original god realm. One of them was at third sky of original god realm, which was one level higher than Ka Tuo's. However, when Ka Tuo released his Chaos Power Upanishad, his twisted power swept the area, affecting all blood halberds warriors. Instantly, they had a distorted feeling that twisted their souls and their vessels, entangling them. When they urged their energy, it felt like someone used a needle to prick their bodies. Just like Leona, Ka Tuo could now spare one level and attack the others. A third sky of original god realm warrior wasn't really terrifying in his eyes. He believed that he could defeat him. Tu Fei didn't have time to take care of Ka Tuo as he was too busy against Fei Lan, his opponent. Fei Lan also had the capacity to leap a level and fight higher realm warriors. It was the first time she showed her ethereal extent. Deep in the sky, a world of the dark and opaque gray air appeared, which looked like a dark, ghostly abyss. This abyss carried the will that could dissolve everything. This world didn't have any lakes or mountains. There was no faunus or florus, but the ash-gray, corrosive air. Since this area could corrode everything, there was nothing else in Feyland's world. It looked like this world would never have any living being. The ash-gray, ethereal extent slowly descended on Phelan, shrouding her entirely. 2 Fey's ethereal extent had tornadoes like alarming smoke columns that jutted into the clouds. Their auras were harsh and brutal, as if they could break everything no matter how hard it was. 2 Fey's ethereal extent collided with Phelan's ethereal extent. Phelan's ethereal extent didn't break. Her empty ethereal extent stayed the same after the tornadoes attacked her world. It had nothing. What was there to be destroyed? 2 Fey's tornadoes were controlled by his power, Upanishad, and soul. After they fell into Phelan's ethereal extent, they moved like a thunderstorm. However, they reluctantly found that they couldn't destroy anything. At the same time, their energy was discreetly worn out. When 2 Fey found this anomaly, the tornadoes he had created by his soul energy turned into nothingness in Phelan's ethereal extent. 2 Fey suddenly appeared in the real world. A tornado supported his body, and he raised. He paled, and a gleam of fear crossed his eyes. He suddenly realized that it was impossible to use his higher realm ethereal extent to break Phelan's ethereal extent with force. Phelan's ethereal extent was generated by her peculiar power, Upanishad. Due to its corrosive ability, it wasn't afraid of any kind of energy attacks. 2 Fey couldn't take any advantage. Quite the contrary, his energy was disorderly and he had to consume a significant amount of energy. He started to change his approach, switching from using realms. He began to use the energy to attack. Death and life energy took turns to show up on the edge of the forest. Phelan and Katua had used all of their best abilities. They didn't seem afraid of exhaustion, as if they could restore shortly afterward. They were consuming energy massively to seize more time for Shuryen. There's a battle. From 1,000 miles away, a black-scaled brawny man's eyebrows twitched hissing. Wulan's eyes sparkled. She closed her eyes to sense. Over there. We will see that kid soon. I'm excited. If he's a member of a mortal demon tribe, a member of our demon clan, Master will be cheered up, since he finally has someone who belongs to his own kind. What if he doesn't want to go the same way as our demon clan? One of them said. We just need to make ourselves clear and just tell him the truth. I think he knows what he should do. Wu Lan chuckled. Our master's reputation can shake the entire Agate Star area. As long as he's not a dumbass, he will know how great this opportunity is. Yeah, that's right. The 2 black-scaled, muscular men nodded, showing their agreement. The 3 of them smiled, flying faster. They looked relaxed, as if they knew that not many forces in Broken Star Field have the strength to resist them. Those who are strong enough to fight them wouldn't cause a dispute with them because of their mighty force. They had this confidence. Although they were in Broken Star Field, the distance of 1,000 miles took just a blink of an eye to the experts at their level. Look, it's them. Wu Lan's eyes brightened. She recognized Phelan and Katua. Ah, they have special powers, Upanishad, screamed a demon man. Phelan and Katua were struggling to resist this force. Phelan's situation was better. She looked calm. However, when she used her energy, she looked a little tired. Katua had blood all over his body. He had a more significant pressure. Not only was he dealing with a third sky of original God Realm expert, but he also had to deal with 10 other warriors. Their manpower was limited. At this moment, Katua was almost exhausted. Under the besiege of more than 10 warriors, it was a miracle that he was able to endure until now. Oh, trouble. Wu Lan frowned, and he couldn't help but mutter, Don't waste more time. The black-scaled men nodded. They stormed forward, moving directly to Katua. Just like 2 hungry wolves entering a sheep's pasture, As soon as the two demon men arrived, the Blood Halberds warriors felt like massive mountains had just smashed them. Their god bodies cracked and then exploded, sending blood and flesh everywhere. They didn't even have a chance to resist. Their god bodies were pressed and blasted, their soul altars flying away. The Blood Halberds warriors were as weak as lambs in their eyes. They exploded as if others were breaking dried tree branches. Ka-Tua was petrified. He pulled himself together, watching around. He found no one but floating soul altars. Those soul altars had hesitated for a while. They were so frightened, flying away immediately, not daring to leave a curse. They disappeared shortly after. "Wow, that was fast," laughed a black-scaled warrior. The scales on his body rattled. He looked as mighty as a black-armored demogorgon. Wu Lan moved swiftly, standing by the battle site. He glanced at Ka-Tua. Ka-Tua was chilled. He stepped backward. He was fearful, but he was prepared to run in any minute. He recognized Wu Lan. Wu Lan had initially been collecting immortal grass. Seeing Shi Yan, she thought that the situation wasn't going well, running away. It looked like Shi Yan had occupied the grass, and Fei Lan and Ka-Tua were his partners in crime. At first, Ka-Tua thought that they came to take revenge. The mighty aura of the two black-scaled warriors was enough to subdue him. As he knew that the others were powerful, Ka-Tua was frightened and anxious. "We aren't here to trouble you guys," Wu Lan smiled, her face natural. "Where's that kid?" "The one who took my immortal grass." "What do you want?" Ka-Tua shivered, gritting his teeth. "Don't be tense. We mean no harm." Wu Lan was surprised. Pondering for a while, she said, "To show our goodwill, we need to do something." "Okay, move." She nodded to the two black, scaled, beefy men. They understood, storming away like a massive black sword thrusting at Tu Fei. Tu Fei felt an intense, insecure feeling. He didn't linger, getting away from the battle site. In just a blink, he had moved 1,000 miles away. When he saw his subordinates die, he didn't hurry to leave because he wanted to know the identity and purpose of who killed them. However, seeing the others take action, he knew that he wouldn't have a chance. He made a quick decision to flee. The black-scaled men exchanged looks and then grinned. People from Broken Starfield are cunning and they have a good sense. They are good at running away. Yeah, in this place where battles happen every day, fleeing when seeing the stronger warriors seems to be instinctual. Seems like he was lucky. He escaped. Otherwise, haha. While they were talking, Fei Lan wiped the sweat from her forehead, taking a deep breath. At this moment, Wu Lan and Ka-Tua arrived. Wu Lan smiled weakly. "Can you tell us where he is now?" Fei Lan and Ka-Tua were confused. Right after that, they sensed, and their faces showed surprise. Sure, Yin wasn't far from them. He stayed in the forest, right behind their back. Fei Lan and Ka-Tua thought that the others could sense him with their realm, so they shouldn't ask them for his whereabouts. The two then became skeptical. However, they sensed and found Shi Yan's aura had disappeared completely. The forest behind them didn't have any strange commotion. Fei Lan and Ka-Tua were frightened. They hurried to fly into the forest, wanting to check the situation back there. Wu Lan and the two black-scaled men followed them. Deep in the forest, the death and life energy didn't fluctuate anymore. The atmosphere in there was no different from the outside. However, Shi Yan wasn't there. No one knew where he had gone. There was nothing left behind for them to sense. He seemed to have vanished into thin air. Chapter 947. Death and Life Bridge. Chapter 947. Death and Life Bridge. Deep in the forest, Fei Lan, Ka-Tua, Wu Lan, and the other two knitted their brows tightly, releasing their soul consciousness, which moved like shuttles that observed and searched everywhere. This place didn't have a desolate aura or vigorous vitality. It was similar to the atmosphere of any place in Broken Star Field. Nothing looked strange anymore. The death and life commotions seemed to be just a hallucination for Phelan and Katua. Standing in the middle of the forest, Katua and Phelan were very confused. Where had Shiryan gone? They exchanged looks and couldn't give a reason. Their sole consciousness didn't find any anomaly. Wu Lan's bold brows furrowed, looking at Phelan and Katua coldly and skeptically. You said he was here? You aren't trying to deceive us, are you? Where is he? He was just right there. Katua beamed a forced smile, shaking his head. He found the intent domain here suitable for his power Upanishad. He was learning the essence of his Upanishad. We were afraid that the others would disturb him. That was why we got out there and fought. While fighting, we didn't have time to check up on him, and we didn't see anything strange. Did the others capture him? One of the black-scaled men hesitated. If they still have an ethereal god realm warrior, that one could have avoided your sensing to abduct him while you were fighting. Impossible. Phelan snorted, her face stern. With Shiryan's subtle powers, Upanishad, his carefulness and capabilities, it wouldn't be easy to capture him. Wulan and the two black-scaled men were surprised, as they didn't know where Phelan had her confidence. In common sense, a first sky of original God Realm warrior would be unable to resist an ethereal God Realm expert. Facing such an opponent, when the ethereal extent snatched him, his powers Upanishad would be restrained and he would be left with no chance to resist. In their eyes, even if Shiryan was stronger, he could never have avoided capture from an ethereal God Realm expert. Yeah, it's true. With his mysterious powers, not many people can restrain him in just a blink. Katua nodded. His realm is lower than ours, but in a battle to the death, I would be the loser, said Katua affirmatively. Then Wulan and the two black-scaled men were perplexed. He must have encountered something marvelous. Phelan pondered for a while. She seemed to understand something. She sat down cross-legged, squinting her eyes. She didn't mind anything else. Katua suddenly smiled. It's true. The intent domain in this area is left by that precursor. Of course, he wouldn't harm Shiryan. He would only give him benefits. Then Katua also sat down, relaxing. They decided to wait for him here. Wulan and the two black-scaled beefy men were skeptical. However, seeing that Phelan and Katua did not have any intention of explaining, the three exchanged looks, frowning and then waiting in silence. Time flew. Broken Star Field didn't have any sun or moon. It had only brilliant stars in the vast void. Without a special tool, it was hard to tell the exact time. One day, while the five of them were still sitting neatly, their brows twitched. They couldn't help but stoop to watch the place underneath. Crack, crack, crack. Pop, pop. Strange, crispy sounds echoed from the deep underground. It sounded like something rigid had broken. They all heard the noise clearly. The five of them jolted up. With a severe countenance, they released their soul consciousness, seeping deep underground. Boom, boom. Rumble, rumble. They shook violently as if they were suddenly pounded by a giant hammer. They even staggered. The more profound their realm was, the more severe the damage was. As the two black-scaled men had third sky of ethereal god realm, their soul altars were shaken violently as if they were about to collapse. The two paled. They didn't think much, immediately retrieving their soul consciousness. They couldn't hold their screeching. Wulan, Phelan, and Katua trembled as if they were drunk. They struggled to steady their body. They were all frightened. The soul consciousness they had sent into the earth had returned with an icy cold energy, running directly into their sea of consciousness and God body. They heard explosions in their heads, while their God bodies shook as if it was about to be ripped off. Even you guys can endure it? Katua was so scared. He couldn't believe it. He just stared at the two black-scaled men. The others, too, had a bitter and fearful countenance. They gazed at the ground underneath and couldn't help but hiss. There's a powerful energy fluctuation down there. It's mighty and unpredictable. It should be some remnant of an incipient God realm expert. My, that vibe came back through our soul consciousness. It's too intimidating. Perhaps our master isn't that strong. Wu Lan's beautiful eyes showed a deep fear. She couldn't help but screech. More intimidating than our master. I think so, one of them sighed dejectedly. Although our master is mighty, and we've been following him for many years, we've never seen anything as formidable as this. The person who had left such energy in the ground could have a more profound realm than our master. Listening to him, Wu Lan gawked. She was speechless for a long moment. Which is your master's realm? Ka Tua mouthed gingerly. The second sky of incipient God realm. Wu Lan had deep respect in her voice. Ka Tua shut his mouth. He wore a serious face as he had a passionate admiration in his eyes. He suddenly understood more clearly. The existence that had left the remnant underground was the one who cultivated death power Upanishad, who used to appear in Raging Flame Star area, and was a member of Bloodthirsty's Cortege of 8. This person was a precursor in his school, and he also had a close relationship to Shi Yan. The energy remnant of such a character had almost broken the two unidentified demon experts. They said that this person could be even stronger than their master, who was an expert at second sky of incipient God realm. So what was the remarkable realm of this precursor? Katua was shocked. He quietly clenched his fists while having a strange rainbow light on his face. He was thrilled indeed. Wu Lan and the two black-scaled men could see his strange expression. They looked at him skeptically. "Why are you so excited? Does it matter to you?" asked Wu Lan. "That person was our precursor. I am, of course, proud of my powerful precursor." Ka Tua grinned. "Moreover, he brought something good to my senior. I believe my senior is deep underground. We should now wait for him here. Why do you want to find Shi Yan?" Fei Lan's winkle twitched as she looked at the other three lucidly. "Because he took your immortal grass." Wu Lan got herself together, smiling charmingly. "Sister, I want to ask something." "Shoot," Fei Lan said dully. "Did anything unusual happen after he grabbed the immortal grass?" asked Wu Lan. The two black, scaled brawny men's eyes also brightened, looking at Fei Lan. "Unusual." Fei Lan frowned. "Nothing." The puree of that immortal something grass seeped into his body. He said that it could help him condense more immortal demon blood or something like that. Wu Lan and the two black scaled warriors were astonished. Their bodies shivered with thrill. "Indeed, he's one of our master's fellows." "My oh my! I didn't expect that we would find a fellow of our master's race. If he knows about this, he will be so excited. He has been searching for his clansmen for so many years. It was too bad that he hasn't found anything. If he knows that he's no longer lonely in Agate Star area, he will go crazy." The three demon experts were surprised and happy. They laughed cheerily, their faces joyful. Fei Lan and Ka Tua were baffled. They weren't fools. Since Wu Lan and the other had helped them out, they knew that those experts weren't their enemies. Thus, Fei Lan and Ka Tua took the chances and revealed a little about Shi Yan to check their reactions. At this moment, seeing the other three almost crack of happiness, Ka Tua and Fei Lan exchanged looks. They felt amazed somehow. When Shi Yan had finished his blood replacement, his god body changed. They all saw that Shi Yan didn't have a human form at that moment. He somehow looked similar to the god clan from the legends. Fei Lan and Ka Tua understood that Shi Yan still had many secrets that they didn't know. Today, from Wu Lan's team, they finally confirmed one thing. Shi Yan's changes could be similar to someone else's, and that person was likely one of his fellows. Since the others didn't have any malicious intent, They knew that it would be a good encounter for Shi Yan. Thus, they didn't conceal his information. Deep in the earth of the most magical place of Broken Star Field was a whole new world. It was a marvelous, long bridge made of 5-colored light. This light bridge led deep underground. There were many transparent handprints on the bridge that looked like someone had left them intentionally. They had death and life energies, respectively. There were death seals and life seals. That bridge was the Death and Life Bridge, which was made of light energy. Death and life seals on the bridge released the death and life auras at the same time. The Death and Life Bridge ran directly into the deep and dark ground, connecting to a mysterious land. At this moment, Shi Yan, who had disappeared earlier, was taking each step with great effort on that bridge. At each step, the transparent handprints on Death and Life Bridge would fly out, falling heavily on his god body. They struck him until his step trembled. Right after that, the handprints merged with his body. It was unknown if the handprints helped him quench the god body or fuse with the intent domain. He made each step with a struggle. After each step, he had to pause to recover before continuing his journey. The transparent handprints carried the intent domain and energy of death and life with tremendous power. The handprints attacked his god body and then disappeared, giving him a lot of wounds. His blood splashed. His bones cracked. The cracking noise Phelan and the other heard actually came from his bones. However, there was no pain on his face. Quite the contrary, his eyes sparkled like bunches of light. He looked excited and passionate, as if he was actually enjoying all of these. He continued to walk resolutely. Chapter 948, Inheritance. Chapter 948, Inheritance, _ With each step that Shi Yan took, transparent handprints would fly out and violently strike his god body. Inside each handprint was the death or life intent domain. They crazily attacked his body. The death seal smashed his flesh and bones, while the life seal revived the damaged part, giving him full vitality. It felt like he had experienced death and reincarnation, struggling between death and life. This kind of continuous rebirth gave him a strong urge for his life form transformation. The Death and Life Bridge extended deep underground. It was mysterious and unpredictable. As he walked, the death seal and life seal flew out and disappeared. Part of the bridge where he had passed slowly disappeared. The Death and Life Bridge functioned as a marvelous inheritance. With each step he made, he received a flow of power Upanishad inheritance, which made the previous part of the bridge disappear as it became the engine that quenched his body and soul altar. The refining of his god body and the transformation of his soul gave him joy and pain. The pain came from his god body, his flesh and veins, and his broken and healed bones. The joy came from his soul and soul altar, especially the tier of powers Upanishad. The death power Upanishad in the tier of powers Upanishad had one more beam of vitality after each transparent handprint struck him. The death power Upanishad became ingenuine. It condensed and entered his life energy, giving his tier of powers Upanishad vitality. It seemed like it was the complete form of the death and life power Upanishad. The process of receiving power Upanishad inheritance was to walk through the death and life bridge. After each step, he was given some mysteries, which made his understanding of death and life power Upanishad more profound. Deep underground, there was no way to count time. Sure, Yin didn't know how long he had been walking on this bridge. Today, he finally walked to the other end of the bridge. The other end of the bridge was a place of countless brilliant transparent crystals. They looked like a formed glacier buried underground. They had an energy that felt familiar. Sure, Yin concentrated on the glacier, his eyes brightening. Death and life threads filled each corner of the crystal glacier complex. It was like a hidden, magical formation buried inside a glacier, with the crystals as hubs that connected the mysterious air currents inside. That air current carried the origin energy. Only the most ancient continent could give birth to the origin. It could collect energy from outer space to provide for the life star endlessly. It was like Grace Mainland. That crystal glacier had a flow of origin, which was weaker than what he got in Grace Mainland. In that origin, he saw a blood mark which was slowly bobbing with life energy. It looked like a wonderful ancient creature. The blood vein ring on his finger suddenly shone a rainbow light, which reached tens of thousands of meters away. The blood cloud mark in the crystal also projected a fiercely surging energy. It bounced in the same frequency as his blood vein ring. Swoosh! The blood vein ring slid away from his finger, flying towards the origin and gathering with the blood cloud mark. Magnificent light silently radiated from countless complex threads. They all poured into the blood cloud mark, flowing towards the blood vein ring. The ring spirit of the blood vein ring seemed to have two separate, identical energies, which were slowly merging. Yen was shocked. He reacted. The blood cloud mark was one component of the ring spirit. It was a beam of the soul detached from the ring spirit. He used to hear the ring spirit say that it wasn't complete. It lost a lot of memories. It was vague about things that it had experienced. Because of the missing pieces of its memories, the ring spirit didn't have a complete consciousness. Each time it communicated with Yen, it couldn't tell him details. Today, as the blood vein ring had vehemently entered the origin to fuse with its lost beam of the soul, Yen suddenly understood it. A thought was directly reflected in his soul. It came from the ring spirit. It was explaining something. Yen was surprised, listening quietly. His eyes were dark as he was frowning. Just like what Lao Luo did, this person had to find an ancient continent which had the origin that year to impart our master's inheritance. He brought the master's blood shield and a part of my soul. He found this place, but he couldn't activate the inheritance. Lao Luo succeeded as he found you, but this expert failed. The ring spirit's thought wasn't continuous. It seemed like its energy was limited even though it had fused with another flow of its soul. After he failed, he gave the blood shield to the descendant of the dark inheritance. A part of my soul was placed in the ancient continent that had the origin, waiting for you. Today, you finally come. He had built the death and life bridge for you so that he can help you understand the power of death and life. It helped me gather a flow of my soul. But he isn't here. It means he has fallen. The thoughts of the ring spirit intervened again. To fuse my soul, I need a long time. You should swallow more soul altars. It will help me fuse faster. Devouring was the main power Upanishad of our master. It was the main reason why people didn't accept him. You still have time. You must be persistent. The thought message from the ring spirit faded away. Crack, crack, crack. As the energy moved, the crystal glacier exploded. Exquisite lines of the ancient formation distorted and shattered. The origin and a flow of soul inside disappeared into the blood vein ring. The surface of the blood vein ring had a blood membrane, making the ring look like a peculiar, small ball of flesh. Swoosh! The blood vein ring flew to him. The small ball of flesh stuck on his finger as if it had become a terrifying small sarcoma on his finger. That blood membrane functioned as a barrier to protect the blood vein ring during its fusion progress. Yan's soul consciousness was blocked. He didn't know what was happening inside the ring. The death and life bridge disappeared. All the transparent handprints had gone into his body. The crystal glacier had consumed all of the energy. The flow of origin had turned into some kind of energy, fusing with the blood vein ring. Boom, boom. Explosions suddenly echoed from deep underground. It was so loud that it was as if it could shake the whole sky. The explosions sounded like a drum being hit in Shiryan's heart. While the explosion reverberated loudly, Shiryan hesitated for a while before letting go of everything. When the glacier shattered, he entered a chunk of crystal, closing his eyes and using his soul to comprehend the truth of death and life power. He tried to use his soul to touch the tier of Power Upanishad, exploring the newly generated life energy. Rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble. The intimidating commotion expanded to the entire broken star field. The broken star field seemed to have dissolved. Countless, massive pieces of the broken stars as large as tens of thousands of islands cracked and detached from the center. Those broken pieces had been attracted here for many years, and now, the force that had been holding them together seemed to have disappeared. It was like a colossal mountain that was cut into billions of pieces and then shot out. Huge chunks of broken star field floated like islands on the sea. They slowly scattered to everywhere in the far west region. Broken star field is disintegrating. The energy core that had built broken star field, which was the origin energy of the ancient continent, disappeared. The old formation of inheritance was made because the master of the bloodthirsty cortege of 8 had sent its energy to the ring's spirit. Thus it was discarded. Since the core origin energy and the energy of the formation were all gone, the center of broken star field didn't have the marvelous effect of drawing pieces of broken stars together anymore. Those fractured stars started to drift apart, moving toward different areas in the starry sea. Sure, Yin didn't care about what was happening out there. He hid deep underground, still comprehending the truth of death and life power Upanishad. Fei Lan, Katua, and the others were standing on the land above his head, looking at the significant changes of broken star field. Their faces became stern. They didn't know what was happening. They didn't know why the so-called natural resources field was suddenly collapsing. However, all had an inexplicable intuition. It was related to Shiryan. It was hard to find evidence. However, they could feel the anomaly of broken star field. Looking at the giant asteroids, mountains, and continents around them drift away, they instinctively deemed that it was somehow related to Shiryan. The 5 of them exchanged looks. This commotion is big indeed, Katua exhaled. The broken star field is extremely vast. If it dissolves this way, pieces of broken stars will scatter around at a fast speed. Life stars around the far west will be in danger, Wulan frowned. Right. These pieces move quickly, and it's getting even faster. Without any energy to hold them down, the impact will be extremely terrifying. I'm afraid that even third sky of ethereal god realm experts couldn't stop broken stars from colliding with life stars. Perhaps they could even pierce through a life star entirely, muttered a demon man, his face dead serious. Did that kid underground cause this? Screamed another demon man. Fei Lan's countenance was indifferent as she said softly, whether it was because of him or not, it happened. I think you guys don't want to see anything bad happens to him, right? Wulan and the 2 muscular demon men nodded slightly, giving forced smiles. They understood what Fei Lan meant. Pieces of broken stars in broken star field would sweep through the entire far west region. Many life stars would be affected as those speedy pieces would impact them. There was a high chance that those rocks could destroy the entire life star. Many clans dwelled in the far west region. They had formed a lot of powerful forces based on life stars. Once they got damaged, they would find the originator to take revenge. If they knew that Shiryan had caused all of this, thousands of people in far west region would criticize him. He would have no foothold in this area anymore. If they didn't want anything bad to happen to Shiryan, they had to conceal this event. Or else, the victims of the case would pursue to kill him at any cost. Ka, Tua, and Fei Lan didn't want anything bad to happen to him. As Wulan and the 2 demon men had recognized that Shiryan and their master were from the same tribe, They would protect him as best as they could. Obviously, they wouldn't let this happen to him. The 5 of them exchanged looks. They silently covered the area, not letting anyone come close. The anomaly of Broken Star Field made many warriors from different forces who came here to collect materials gawk. They would soon know what was about to happen. Those warriors started to search around, trying to find the originator of the change of Broken Star Field. A part of them was moving quickly towards this area. "Watch out!" hissed a black-scaled man, his aura stern and harsh. "We will not let anyone who witnessed this get away alive. We won't give them a chance to spread the news. Understood?" Chapter 949, The Star Area Split. Chapter 949, The Star Area Split. Anusur. All warriors of Broken Star Field were enraged. The anomaly of Broken Star Field had made thousands of broken stars become violent, flying asteroids that swept different areas of the far west region. The massive broken stars moved faster and faster. Their momentum was enhanced on the way. The impact created by these broken pieces were going to be earth-shaking. Many pieces were as large as a small continent that even a level 6 or 7 life star wouldn't be able to endure its impact. A catastrophe of the far west region was foreseen. This kind of catastrophe had never happened before. It wiped through the entire whole region. It would forcefully destroy homes of many experts. Warriors of different areas in the far west region rushed into Broken Star Field. After they knew what would happen shortly, they reacted as if someone had broken their inverse scale. They became violent, flying rapidly towards the center of Broken Star Field. If they wanted to know the originator, it would be simple. They just needed to check the center of Broken Star Field. Whichever area was still intact and didn't follow the changes of Broken Star Field would be the location of the originator. The center of Broken Star Field was a strange area that held the power to gather pieces of broken stars continually. It wasn't a secret, as warriors of different races all know about it. Now they just needed to check if they found anybody there, and then they would find the answer. Thus, warriors who were exploiting rare materials in this area all moved towards Shurian's direction. Broken Star City was a part of Broken Star Field, one of the biggest broken pieces. As Broken Star Field was changing, the Broken Star City collapsed. It was divided into 3 parts, racing in 3 different directions. Warriors of different forces in the Broken Star City fell into a chaotic crisis, including AI Fu. A corner of AI Fu's ancient building collapsed as the ground under his feet rumbled. AI Fu had dust all over his face, his countenance helter-skelter. A shadow appeared in a dark area above his head. "Young master." The shadow was restless. It was Shurian. He caused all of this. Damn it. AI Fu clenched his jaw, being foul-mouthed. That asshole acted unreasonably. He made the entire Broken Star Field dissolve. Countless pieces of broken stars are shooting everywhere. Many life stars will suffer from this disaster. Damn, I've been doing business in Broken Star City for so many years. Because of him, everything has been ruined in just a blink of an eye. Without Broken Star Field, Broken Star City can't exist. Many shops will be ruined. People have become tense. We're trying to transport the materials away. This bastard. How could he change the entire Broken Star Field like this? I don't know. The spooky shadow was distressed. I saw him inside a forest. He disappeared all of a sudden. Then, explosions echoed from underground. Shortly after, Broken Star Field started to dissolve. I don't know what he had encountered underground, but I'm sure that the anomaly of Broken Star Field was brought by him. Bastard. That damn bastard. AI Fu gritted his teeth, his face dark and sinister. Watch him closely. Watch him for me. That mother *cur has destroyed Broken Star Field. He will bring a catastrophe to the far west region too. The ominous shadow also knew the crisis. He disappeared silently, not speaking anymore. Dash, Master of Blood Halberd, also moved toward the center of Broken Star Field. All experts of the forces based near Broken Star Field in Far West region took action and flew towards Sher Yan's location. For the time being, several thousand warriors of Broken Star Field moved towards the area like clouds of locusts. They all wanted to capture the originator and skin him alive. All of them looked angry, their eyes vicious and brutal. "Big trouble," said the muscular black-scaled man. "All warriors of Broken Star Field are heading to this area. I think we can't kill them all. Unless our master comes here personally, we don't have a solution to resist this battle," said the other. Wu Lan's face was as dark as the earth. She stooped and glanced at the ground underneath. She sighed and then spoke to Fei Lan. "Can you contact him? We must get out of here as fast as possible. Otherwise, when they come, we won't even have a chance to run." Fei Lan and Ka Tua were also worried, as if they had a fire in their heart. They knew how serious this commotion was. However, they sensed no aura of Sher Yan underground. Their soul consciousness couldn't detect anything. They all had severe headaches. "If we stay, we will be deemed the originators, and we won't be able to explain." Wu Lan pulled her bangs worriedly and speaking begrudgingly. "We'll wait for a moment. If he doesn't come out, we will leave." Fei Lan discolored, shouting, "If you leave when Sher Yan appears, the others will kill him on the spot. You don't want the only clansman, who's from the same clan as your master, to die, do you?" Wu Lan and the two black-scaled men became hesitant. "Get underground and find him. Quickly." Wu Lan pondered for a while. Eventually, she didn't want to wait in pain anymore. She didn't speak to Fei Lan and Ka Tua. She directly asked her fellows, "Get underground immediately. Unless you bump into some barriers you can't solve, try your best to find him." "All right." The two brawny black-scaled warriors roared. The black scales on their bodies rattled. Brutal light radiated under their feet. Boom! Boom! The firm ground underneath was pierced. It was as if they were cutting through pieces of tofu. They didn't say anything, jumping right into the holes they just made like moles. They moved further in. "We should look everywhere. We must ensure that we can kill anyone who comes here first." Wu Lan became resolute and sinister. "We must try our best and leave no living beings." Fei Lan and Ka Tua nodded continually. As they had just made up their minds, a shadow came with great anxiety. It was Jiyu. Before this event, he had hidden far away from the forest, concealing his aura and shadow. When Fei Lan and Ka Tua fought Blood Halberd, Tu Fei didn't dare show himself and he moved further away. Thus, people didn't see him. Jiyu had stayed in Broken Star Field for many years. He knew how to protect himself well. He understood that his realm wasn't high, so being a coward helped him live a little longer. When Tu Fei and the Blood Halberd soldiers were killed, he didn't know that happened or recognized the presence of Wu Lan's team. However, he recognized the anomaly of Broken Star Field. He was very suspicious, coming to see how Fei Lan and the others were doing and what was happening to Broken Star Field. That was why he showed himself. However, as soon as he landed, he retracted his neck as he was very terrified. From Wu Lan's and Ka Tuo's face, he could see murderous intentions, a feeling of no mercy that chilled him to the bone. He wanted to retreat immediately. Wu Lan rose her hand as if she was about to kill him, her face icy cold. At this moment, Ka Tua gave a low shout, "He's one of us!" Wu Lan recognized Jiyu. She knew that this kid used to accompany Sher Yan's team. Frowning, she threw a glance at Fei Lan. "Can we trust this man?" "I don't know." Fei Lan's eyes were malicious. Better to clean everything. "Don't." Ka Tua tried to stop them. "He brought us to Broken Star Field. We shouldn't be so heartless. At most, we can confine him and make him silent forever. I agree. Yu understood the situation well. As his realm was low, he could only survive in Broken Star Field with his tricks. Yu threw his arms into the air, showing that he had put down all guard. He walked to Wulan and, speaking sincerely, "Confine me. I'm willing to be restrained." He understood that the change of Broken Star Field was related to these people. Although he didn't have a high realm, he was smart. He knew that he saw things he shouldn't have. Now he had to cooperate with them to save his life. Wulan was surprised. She nodded. "You understood your case well. Okay, considering your good sense, we will spare your life." Fei Lan rose her hand, and a pale, corrosive air fumed like the clusters of cloud covering Yu entirely. His consciousness became dizzy and hazy. "Someone's coming. They're almost here." Wulan hissed. Fei Lan and Ka, Tu'a discolored, urging their powers Upanishad. They were prepared to strike, with lethal attacks in any minute. Boom, boom. A strange noise echoed from the ground. A shout arose from the deep hole that the two black scaled men had dug. "We meant no harm." Ka Tu'a cheered up. He hastened to shout at the hole. "Senior, we got trouble. Get out quickly. We don't have much time." "Yen, they aren't enemies." Fei Lan also hissed. She moved like an arrow through the hole. Deep underground, inside an ice crystal, Yen looked at the two black scaled strangers with cold eyes. Hair rose on his entire body as he could feel intimidation from these two beefy men. It was a kind of terrifying aura that he had never seen before. Yen was ready to use the immortal demon blood to tear the sky and flee. If Ka Tu'a didn't call for him, he would have gone already. At the moment Fei Lan talked to him, he calmed down, his face suspicious. "Who are you? What's going on out there?" He didn't know that Broken Star Field was disintegrating. As he was staying deep underground, he could only feel the strange tremors. "We don't have much time to talk. We must retreat now. Once the experts of Broken Star Field come, we won't be able to leave." One of them shouted hastily. Yen changed his visage. He was bewildered for a while before nodding and flying up. Seconds later, he appeared by Fei Lan and Ka Tu'a shouting, "What should we do?" He didn't know the details, but from Fei Lan and Ka Tu'a's countenances, he knew it wasn't going well. "Congratulations." Fei Lan's eyes brightened and she nodded at him. "I didn't expect that you would reach second sky of original God realm that quickly. It's good. Anyway, we have to get out of here immediately. I'll tell you the situation on the way." "Congratulations." Ka Tu'a also saw Yen's changes, hurriedly congratulating him. Yen smiled. He said, "Then we should go quickly. Move." Wulan was hurried. "We must leave now. Someone's coming." The two black scaled men appeared. They looked in a general direction, speaking, "Follow us." "No one's coming this way. We will get out of here quickly." Fei Lan's team didn't say anything, dragging Yu and following them. Chapter 950. Inevitable Fierce Combat. Chapter 950. Inevitable Fierce Combat, _ Master directed us to capture Yen at any cost, G. The old man with a withered face said to AI Fu in his hall. "Capture Yen at any cost." AI Fu screamed. "Why does grandfather want to capture him?" "They all have that blood mark, which is identical to the expert that had intruded Broken Star Field several thousand years ago. That expert had killed so many people that his hands were soaked with blood. I'm not sure if it's a wise move to offend him. I don't know his reasons, but this was Master's orders," snarled the old man. AI Fu nodded. "If my grandfather said that, he must have his plan. If so, We will spread the news that Shi Yan was the originator of Broken Star Field's anomaly. Yeah, we must notify Niger and Dafong. They all have grudges against Shi Yan. They're searching for him, though. I think they will be interested. Okay, the old man left quickly. Niger was a powerful tyrant of the Ghost Mark clan in Far West region. The Ghost Mark couple that Shi Yan had encountered was Niger's subordinates, called Gate and Feng Ro. As Feng Ro was killed and Gate had escaped from Phelan, of course, they didn't want to let this thing slip away. Dafong was the master of blood halberd. Tu Fei and Tu Feng were his men. Tu Feng and some warriors that Tu Fei led were all killed. Of course, this force didn't want to let their enemies stay alive. Shortly after, not only did Niger and Dafong receive the news from Ai Fu, but also most of the forces in Broken Star Field now knew what had happened. A huge hunting operation for Shi Yan was carried neatly under the management of some leaders. Inside the detaching Broken Star Field, 5-colored mist and smoke hovered thickly. It seemed like it wasn't going to disperse. Shi Yan's team had their god bodies glow radiantly as they were urging their powers to run at their max speed in a general direction. The 2 black-scaled warriors at Third Sky of Ethereal God Realm had their soul altar spin as they were navigating new directions to ensure that they wouldn't be surrounded. Gradually, they felt something wrong. It's weird. Wu Lan's furrowed her bold brows, thinning her red lips. Strange light sparkled continually in her beautiful eyes. They seem to know our route. More and more people are gathering. They know where we are going. Ka Tua was startled. How could it be? We haven't seen anyone in our way yet, right? Moreover, we have 2 precursors, sensing to avoid them. Many warriors near here are moving towards us. They know our location, said one of the black-scaled experts, his face stern. We are in big trouble. Seems like it won't be easy to get away. Fei Lan didn't say anything. She just looked at Shi Yan indifferently. They're correct. Our whereabouts are disclosed. Shi Yan was still calm. Although my realm's low, my soul consciousness could cover a long range. Several thousand warriors around have received the information. They are waiting ahead of us. They have some battleships, too. All are waiting for us. Using space power Upanishad, his soul consciousness could extend very far. Although he had only second sky of original God Realm cultivation base and his soul consciousness couldn't cover a large area like the 2 black-scaled experts, when he focused on some specific directions, he could gather more information than the others. He had released several flows of soul consciousness, which precisely reflected the surroundings to him. Teams of warriors entered Broken Star Field and scattered around the area, moving towards the center of Broken Star Field. However, around 1 hour ago, many of them had a clear target. They didn't move towards the center of Broken Star Field. Instead, they headed to Shi Yan's location. Apparently, they had evidence. They knew that this group had caused this catastrophe. And moreover, they knew Shi Yan's location. Shi Yan halted. The fantasy sky ring on his finger glowed weakly. A light curtain twisted and then unfolded. The mother and child sky linking formation appeared. Boom, boom, boom. Divine crystals that looked like pieces of broken jade flew out of his ring, inlaying precisely in the concave spots of the child formation. Light sparkled as the energy of the crystals had activated the child formation. Light sparkled beautifully, generating the light door, which vaguely led to a deep, unknown place. Shi Yan looked at Fei Lan and Ka Tua. He took a deep breath and then said, "You guys should return to Old Orchid Star now." Fei Lan and Ka Tua were shocked, shaking their head continually. Wu Lan and the 2 black-scaled experts' eyes brightened. They were astounded looking at the child formation. They complimented it. What a magical space formation. Excellent. Kid, your realm isn't high, but you can control such a precious treasure. You rock. Shi Yan explained to Fei Lan and Ka Tua with a serious countenance. This trip will be perilous. They've sent many experts with high realms. You can't give me much protection even if you go with me. You should return first. Senior, we will never leave you. If we have to fight to the death, I want to fight shoulder to shoulder with you. Ka Tua gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Deadly aura arose around his body. Isn't it just slaughtering? Who should I fear? Fei Lan resisted with silence. I cultivate space power, Upanishad. If I'm not killed in a blink, I'll always have a chance to survive and flee. Shi Yan shook his head. He was actually touched. If I'm not sure, I won't ask you to stay with me. You guys should return to old Orchid Star for now. After I escape this mess, I'll come back and pick you guys up. He couldn't leave. If he left, the child formation of the mother and child sky linking formation must be destroyed. Otherwise, their enemies would use it to get to old Orchid Star. They would bring a catastrophe to old Orchid Star. Shi Yan had vague confidence, and he didn't want to see the formation that he had labored to fix shatter so quickly. Fei Lan lowered her head, her face dark. The opponent may have many third sky of original God Realm experts. It isn't impossible to kill you instantly. Shi Yan, even though the child formation is marvelous, we need to let it go when we need it. It's not worth taking risks. Yeah, right. Senior, as long as we return to old Orchid Star, we can dodge this danger for a while. Then we can plan the next step, advised Katua. Wu Lan and the two black, scaled warriors stayed silent, waiting for the other's decision. No, Shi Yan said determinedly, not letting the others oppose. We can't let the child formation shatter. Once it breaks, if they come to old Orchid Star for us, we won't have an emergency exit. With the child formation, as long as I'm alive, we can move everyone and all materials of old Orchid Star. We can avoid the flames of anger of the other forces in the far west region. Don't say any more nonsense. You too go back immediately. Otherwise, I won't consider you my friends anymore. Fei Lan lifted her head. She had a gleam of dim shadows in her eyes. If you die, we can't protect old Orchid Star. You're our foundation. Ka Tua gritted his teeth, speaking ferociously. Risk our lives. I don't think they can kill us all. I'm not going to be killed that easily, Shi Yan smiled coldly. I've been in the world of martial arts for years. I've experienced the must-die situations many times, but I haven't fallen yet. Believe me, I have enough tricks to protect myself. I'm sure I will survive. We're here, Wu Lan suddenly intervened, smiling faintly. As long as we're here, we won't let people kill him. Don't worry and just leave. Go! Shi Yan rose his hand to guide them. The child formation with its magnificent light drifted, hovering by Fei Lan and Katua and waiting for them to enter. Take care! Senior, take care! Fei Lan and Katua nodded heavily. They weren't stubborn anymore. They jumped into the child formation, flashed, and then disappeared through the light door as Shi Yan urged them. Swoosh! The child formation turned into beautiful light and disappeared into Shi Yan's fantasy sky, ring as guided. No worries anymore. Wu Lan chuckled. She was still calm. Although the enemies are many, it's not impossible for the four of us to break them. Pausing for a while, Wu Lan snorted, speaking arrogantly. Not many experts have the guts to resist our master in this rural area. I don't think they will dare to attack us. At this moment, Shi Yan knew that their master blood demon was one of the members of the immortal demon tribe in Agate Star area. He was famous in the entire Agate Star area with a second sky of incipient god realm. As soon as we get out of the far west region, I can contact my master. With his powers, it won't be hard to travel through some small star areas to get here. One of the black-scaled men said arrogantly, Our master is a famous flag of the demon clan in Agate Star area. He's a strong pillar of the demon clan. I believe that no one in this far west region dares to confront him directly. All right, we can brag later. Let's go. After Shi Yan had arranged Fei Lan and Ka Tuo suitably, he relaxed, feeling more comfortable. Wu Lan's bright eyes sparkled as she studied him, nodded inwardly. They didn't talk anymore, navigating their direction and then moving crazily to get out of Broken Star Field. A long time later, Shi Yan, Wu Lan, and the other halted, their pupils shrinking. Low, rumbling noises from engines resounded through the dusty area in front of them. Slowly, 2,000-meter-long battleships emerged, blockading them. Those two battleships were made of bone and stone, respectively. They were as bright and shiny as a silver bar. Stern warriors stood on the battleships. They saw Tu Fei and the Ghost Mark man who had escaped on the battleships. "That's him." Gate of the Ghost Mark clan shrilled. With a grimace, he pointed at Shi Yan from a distance, speaking hoarsely. "They killed Feng Ro." A middle-aged Ghost Mark man whose god body looked like a halberd had sharp eyes. He was Niger of the Ghost Mark clan in the far west region. He had third sky of ethereal god realm cultivation base. Now he was standing on the battleship, his hands clasped behind his back. He talked maliciously. How do you want him to get killed? He must suffer from every torture in this world. Keep his soul burning on the fire for 10,000 years, which will kill him little by little, said Gate through his gritted teeth. He's mine. Tu Fei shouted crazily, like a beast baring its teeth. Your daddy here will skin him first. Shi Yan's eyes were harsh and cold, grinning fiendishly. I'm afraid that you don't have such luck. Chapter 951 Space Spider Web. Chapter 951 Space Spider Web Underscore. As soon as he finished talking, Shi Yan took action immediately. He crossed his hands in the void, slowly ripping it apart. Two space slits with dark light moved along with his arms, making a cross shape. Each of the two space splits was 1,000 meters long. Urging space power Upanishad, his soul alter-spun rapidly. Energy in his body surged like a violent flood. The pure energy of essence, Qi ancient tree, was consumed quickly. God power was the basis of all kinds of energy. It was magical and mysterious, as it could activate all kind of powers Upanishad. After the two space slits crossing each other appeared, Shi Yan continued to tear more space slits, weaving them with each other. Many warriors on the two battleships emerging from the gray mist looked scared. In any high-level star area, space power was the heavenly power that was really hard to perceive. However, once they got it and cultivated it, space power Upanishad could always be an intimidatingly mighty power. As more space slits appeared, people standing on the battleships grimaced. They frowned as they were hesitating whether to attack him or not. The space saber was the space-class weapon that could defeat everything. Each of the space splits led to the chaotic space basin. If they got in there, they would never get out alive. Shi Yan used the space spits to make the lines and build a spider web around him, which extended several hundred miles. If any warrior stormed into the web, they would be cut into pieces. Even if the ethereal god realm experts couldn't sway through the web, it could still mince them. Wu Lan and the black-scaled expert smiled, seeing him build a spider web. People who used space power Upanishad were that intimidating. The trap made by space slits would trouble even warriors with profound realms. Unless they all risked their lives to kill Shi Yan, this space spider web couldn't be rendered useless. It would affect everyone. He's our master's nephew. If you dare to act rashly, don't blame my master for turning his back to you. Wu Lan stepped forward, shouting gracefully and arrogantly, I don't care what kind of disaster your far west region has. Shi Yan and our master are close anyway. If you dare to attack him, you'll become our enemies. The two muscular black-scaled experts grinned fiendishly and coldly at Niger and Defoe. Blood Devil's troops. Niger frowned, glaring coldly at Shi Yen and speaking darkly. Blood Devil has never come to our far west region. Why did I not know that he's interested in this rural area? As far as I was aware, Blood Devil didn't have a family. Do you think your fabricated reason could cover that brat? We want him. It has nothing to do with Blood Devil. Please step away. Defoe of Blood Halberd shouted, his eyes icy cold. Even Blood Devil himself, if he created such a catastrophe in far west region, wouldn't dream of getting out of here intact. You have a lot of guts, Wulon sneered. Perhaps you do want to fight our demon clan. I also want to see if you have that competence. Kill. Kill. Niger and Defoe exchanged looks. They spat their orders in unison. Silhouettes soared from the two battleships, moving like meteors. Their momentum was quick, with surging energy, like a rising tide. Those people knew how dangerous the space slits were. They didn't dare to use the battleships. In this operation, they scattered, swaying and weaving like beams of light. They tried to avoid the thick mesh space slits moving between the narrow gaps. Instantly, energy shot out as each warrior urged his or her power Upanishad. Life, icicles, fire lines, thunderbolts, wind blades, and more swarmed over from their god bodies. They were like different branches of a flood, overflowing to the mainstream. Niger of the Ghost Mark clan and Defoe, Blood Halberd's master, took the lead. Wulon and the two black-scaled experts wore cold faces. They didn't expect the others to attack them. Oh, it seems like this rural area still has some passionate people. Tough then. One of the beefy men gave a low roar. He moved like light, confronting Niger in just a blink. He grinned, showing his teeth. The black scales on his body rattled as he stormed towards Defoe. The two black-scaled experts came from a famous area in Agate Star area. They were much stronger than the warriors of the far west region. Their powers generated ethereal extent, which was the world of ice and the world of earth. As soon as their ethereal extents appeared, they seemed to disorder the real world. Inside the icy world was a shoreless glacier, which looked like a massive sword stabbing the sky. It was tens of thousands of meters high, with a transparent body and gloomy icy chi. As soon as his ethereal extent appeared, the glacier elongated through the sky, crashing forward. While moving, the glacier released a terrible freezing energy, which froze the low realm warriors. They turned into ice sculptures, which were drawn into his ethereal extent, and then they shattered. Filling the world of earth was mist and sand. Yellow, sandy, ancient beasts roared and moved frighteningly. They bared their fangs and rose their claws to slaughter the warriors. Those ancient beasts seemed to be revived in the real world. They slaughtered, ripping apart original god realm warriors with their fangs. The two black, scaled experts were at peak of ethereal god realm. They seemed not too far from incipient god realm. Their ethereal extents were lively as if they were real and about to materialize. The world of ice and the world of earth had their power to transform magically according to the changes of their thoughts. Low realm warriors who made contact with the ethereal extent were subdued entirely. Their realms were troubled, which affected their energy circulation. Niger and Defoe discolored, releasing their ethereal extents. Niger had a thunderbolt world with countless roaring electric dragons. His thunderclaps shook the sky. Bunches of lightning strikes descended as if they wanted to tear the real world. Defeng's ethereal extent was a world of metals. Quickly, he got tens of thousands of cold metals, including sabers, swords, spears, halberd, tridents, and even silver hammers. Each of them was extremely sharp, as if they were the masterpieces of a skillful blacksmith. Countless weapons moved, multiplying in each ethereal extent, creating some kind of unusual metal formation which could kill all creatures like a sprinkle. For great ethereal extents appeared, disordering the real world in front of them. Thunderbolts impacted the glacier, crushing each other. Many sharp metal weapons were attacking the ancient beasts. Their arena stretched through thousands of miles, which made the real world shake. Initially, the space slits were around 1,000 meters long, under the pressure and collision from 4 great ethereal extents. They cracked, generating more space slits. Sure, Yen had flames and ice in his eyes at the same time. His space cracks started to move like real snakes. Boom, boom, boom. Warriors who hadn't reached ethereal god realm would have their god bodies explode from one touch by the space slits. In less than a minute, more than 10 soul altars appeared in front of Shi Yen, which belonged to the warriors whose bodies exploded. They had to use their soul altars to survive. They didn't estimate that the still space splits could suddenly revive like that. They were ambushed. There was nothing the space splits couldn't destroy. The god body under ethereal god realm couldn't endure the tearing power, and they would crack and explode badly. If you want to kill me, let's see how much you can pay. Shi Yen floated in the starry sea, smiling coldly. At this moment, his eyes became garnet as a bloodthirsty aura slowly filled the area. His eyes gradually became dull and icy cold. He had no gleam of emotions. At this moment, he looked like death who was observing a creature who had no feelings that a human should have. The third sky of rampage. His power Upanishad switched. Now he had an absolutely deadly silent aura. He was like an ancient mummy that had survived thousands of years without a beam of life energy. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A huge handprint towered the sky, releasing the death intent domain, filling the deadly silent aura and cutting off the vitality of everything. The death seal was as big as a mountain, but it could simply dodge the space split, snatching over more than 10 warriors at King God Realm and First Sky or Second Sky of Original God Realm. Under the death seal, those warriors paled as life energy in their bodies drifted away. The halos on their god bodies became ash gray. Crack, crack, crack. The death seal grumblingly pressed down. The god bodies of more than 10 warriors were smashed. Pieces of flesh and bone were sent everywhere. Clots of blood hovered, creating blood curtains. As the others wanted to kill him, Shi Yen at Second Sky of Original God Realm had a good grasp of death and life power. Of course, he wouldn't stay idle. In his peak condition, his attack using his best abilities was unimaginably powerful. He hadn't urged immortal demon blood, which would have transformed his body. Shi Yen just used Third Sky of Rampage to urge negative energy in his acupuncture points, giving power to this massive death seal. Shi Yen was shaken inwardly. His confidence was boosted to a level that he had never had before. He suddenly recognized that unless he was confronting an ethereal god realm expert, there was no chance that he would lose. He had absolute confidence in his competence and powers Upanishad. His blood eyes sparkled strangely. Shi Yen had red veins visible on his face. He looked like a demon from hell descended to this world, as he didn't have any beam of creature's emotions. He had only the pure thirst for blood and killing. A deadly will expanded from his god domain. The heavy, dead aura flooded, extending to any warrior coming close to him. Boom, boom, boom. After the poor warriors had exploded, their blood was guided, creating a sea of blood with a pungent, iron-like smell. This blood sea seethed, generating malicious energy, fluctuations that affected souls. The supernatural ability of death and life power Upanishad, the blood soul sea. The blood sea surged, resonating with his god domain. Under the god domain's direction, it covered an area of 10 miles around Shi Yen. No matter how high their realms were, Warriors who fell into the Blood Soul Sea lost their minds instantly. All became crazy. They started to attack everyone they saw, whether they were friends or enemies. They didn't care that even the opponents, who were their brothers, who had fought shoulder by shoulder with them for so many years. At this moment, they attacked each other madly, not recognizing that their consciousness had collapsed. Negative energy as thick as black ink gushed out from Shi Yan's acupuncture points, pouring into the Blood Soul Sea, which then strengthened the destructive power of the sea. This kind of energy could distort souls, running directly into warriors' souls and crossing their sea of consciousness and tier of powers Upanishad in their soul altar to reach their God soul. Swoosh! Shi Yan turned into a blood light, flying swiftly above the blood sea. Tens of thousands of light dots, which carried life energy, disappeared into his god body like rain gathered from the vast sea. The soul burial ground ability of death and life Upanishad had cut off all vitality, taking it away. It contributed towards the taken energy into Shi Yan's body, giving him more energy to control everything. At this moment, Shi Yan, at his second sky of original god realm, looked like the sole god of this world. He had used his will and supernatural ability to change space, bring up death, and take away life. He was harvesting pure energy for himself. He was slaughtering, enjoying himself to the utmost. Chapter 952. Vicious Natural Instincts. Chapter 952. Vicious Natural Instincts _ Warriors from different areas of Broken Star field gradually emerged, surrounding Shi Yan. Thousands of them came by hordes. Those people were from different forces and different races, but they had the same goal. They wanted to capture or kill Shi Yan. The anomaly of Broken Star field would bring an unpredictable catastrophe to the far west region. Pieces of broken stars would bombard many life stars, wreaking havoc. Those warriors would lose their shelters if their homeland got destroyed. Shi Yan was the originator. Through different channels, they had confirmed this information from Ai Fu. Ai Fu was the heavenly eye in Broken Star Field. He had ears and eyes everywhere. No one doubted Ai Fu's intelligence. Ai Fu made people believe him by the credit he had built for hundreds of years. Battleships appeared one after another. They emerged like wild beasts of ancient times, showing their fangs. They slowly approached the battle site. Each battleship carried experts of different clans. All of them looked stern. While those battleships were moving towards this area, they slowed down, not daring to join the battle site directly. The space spider web had stretched over thousands of miles, creating a horrible death trap. Those space splits were the most dangerous things that could cut off any matter. The battleships weren't designed to resist something like that. Is that kid really at second sky of original God realm? How can he sweep out everywhere? How could he kill the warriors whose realms were higher than his? This man is terrifying. At this realm he can do such things. When he breaks through the original God realm, would we be able to confront him? Be careful. Don't let your anger make you a sacrifice for the others. Do not act rashly and get out there. Be watchful. Each battleship had a commander, and most of them were at ethereal God realm. They belonged to powerful clans of different forces. However, after observing for a while, they all became severe. The competence of Shi Yan was showing how much was beyond their estimation. The space sabers weaved with each other, creating a vast spider web. The red blood sea in the center of the spider web was emitting evil, red mist with a murderous aura that terrified people rolled. Death energy fluctuated, covering the whole sky. Shi Yan and the blood sea merged into one. The blood soul sea was formed by the blood of dead warriors. It had become part of his god body, a world of his own. In this world he was the sole god. On the blood sea, warriors under Niger and a foam looked like they were insane. Their consciousness collapsed. their eyes filled with their basic instincts of killing. They blindly slaughtered all warriors around them. They seemed to have forgotten who they are. Dozens of warriors who were their blood comrades were killing each other in that blood-soul sea. They used their best powers, Upanishad, to make the whole world discolor. Their powers were like the thunderstorm, cleaning up the entire place. Yen was now like a drop of blood, blending and disappearing into the blood-soul sea. However, the space sabers were encircling the blood-soul sea. They were like dragons or snakes slithering around, but their power was enough to tear the whole sky. Outer space light shot out dazzlingly from those sabers. Those brilliant lights moved directly into the most mysterious space basin, the space-time crack. The two-peak of ethereal god realm warriors of the black-scaled tribe, Niger, and a Fong sometimes flashed into the real world. Their ethereal extents were pressing the real world, trying to break it. Although the ethereal extent wasn't an incipient extent, as soon as an ethereal god realm expert had enough energy, the world he created using his power Upanishad could be strong enough to crush the world. It would make all the creatures return to their origin, shattering every matter. The four great existences at peak of ethereal god realm were performing their ethereal extents in the sky, attacking and defending each other using the power of the ethereal extent. They made the whole place an etherealized world where the ethereal extents they created were real. No one dared to intrude that area. Niger's and Defeng's subordinates and the other hotshots from the other forces instinctively avoided that area. They would rather go through the spider web than get directly through their ethereal extent. The space spider web wasn't still. It was moving gently as Yen had changed his thoughts. They looked like a beautiful place of weaving lights. It swayed and moved from time to time. Every time it moved, the space sabers would elongate, crushing some warriors and leaving only the soul altars. Around the blood-soul sea, inside the space spiderweb, almost 100 soul altars were floating, which looked like magnificent lotuses. They sparkled in 5-colored, with different powers, Upanishad surging. The souls bobbing above the soul altar were marvelously beautiful, like the flame of life. Yen's god body was dark red. He emerged for a short time in the blood-soul sea, looking at the soul altars floating around with great greed. He was struggling hard in his mind. He hesitated, but didn't dare to take action. He disappeared into the blood soul sea one more time. He still remembered what the blood vein ring asked him to do. He should try his best to swallow more soul altars using his black hole. It was the best support for the ring spirit to complete its soul fusion. However, it was not the right time. In front of many warriors, if he let the black hole in his soul altar appear and swallow the soul altar, his biggest secret would be revealed. The master of Bloodthirsty's cortege of 8 was the wicked demon the people didn't want to be alive. His soul altar devouring power Upanishad was the most taboo power. If he disclosed it, he would never have a shelter in Agate Star area. All the races would hunt him down. He knew this clearly. Thus, he could only stare greedily at those soul altars while trying to restrain the avarice in his heart. The essence chi of the dead rolled massively into the blood-soul sea, disappearing into his acupuncture points. The essence chi of those who had only the soul altars hovering hadn't dispersed into earth and heaven yet. Yan's god body attracted it, making it blend with the blood-soul sea. He was using his acupuncture points to absorb it. This was also the function of devouring power Upanishad. Devouring power Upanishad was immensely marvelous. It could swallow essence chi and the soul altars of warriors. This was a taboo power that shouldn't exist in this world. It was the forbidden area that even gods didn't dare to touch. However, on the date he descended to Grace Mainland, at the moment he jumped into the blood pond, he had touched God's forbidden area. From that day onward, he was destined to be the foreigner, walking on the thorny path. He had never regretted, never hesitated or thought of it as a burden in his mind. Only a person with extreme greed would take energy accumulated throughout hundreds or thousands of years from the others. He would harm others to make himself stronger. That year, that day, when the first essence chi of the dead entered his body, he wasn't anxious or worried. He had only joy and astonishment. He had considered it the ultimate secret that he would never share with anyone. From that day onward, he knew that he had no way back. If he were a naive and kind person, he would have a demonic barrier in his heart. He would be fearful and have nightmares every night. Afterward, he would consider devouring Upanishad, the worst nightmare that he wanted to get rid of. He would proactively resist it. Sure, Yin wasn't such sort of man. Absolutely not. A person who can destroy the world for his own benefits wouldn't have a burden when he ruins the whole world and puts it back to the time of chaos just to strengthen himself. He would never step back. Only a person with those vicious natural instincts was eligible to receive the inheritance, walking on the road leading to the peak. This sort of man would never be accepted or tolerated. He was destined to bear eternal infamy. He didn't care. The blood-soul sea had blood bubbles, surging vehemently. The aura that could twist the soul swept over the area, dragged everything into the abyss of death and uncontrolled slaughter. Shi Yen was hiding deep in the blood-soul sea to gather dead chi with his acupuncture points. The devouring power Upanishad would refine it and make up the consumed energy used to build the space spider web, which would strengthen himself. Dozens of blood halberd hotshots under Di Feng's commands had crossed the space spider web. They rushed with ferocious eyes. They were careful enough to stay by the blood-soul sea when releasing the soul consciousness to locate Shi Yen in the sea. They didn't jump in directly. A bright star slowly emerged from the blood sea with dazzling light. It was a real star that looked like a massive, brilliant diamond. Starlight emitted everywhere, carrying the undying will of star power. The star nucleus. It was the star hovering in Shi Yan's nebula. The star then covered the blood-soul sea. Billions of starlight beams extended like a river flowing from the nine-tiered sky. Congregating at the star nucleus enlarged rapidly, emitting countless starlight beams crossing everywhere. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Dozens of hotshots of blood halberd were hit directly. They looked like they were crystallized with starlight on their bodies. They seemed to become the stars. Blood halberd's warriors became idle. Their faces slowly turned ash-gray. Starlight started to radiate from them as their soul altars were also filled with starlight. Swoosh! Orange-red flames soared, drawing the marvelous but evil curves in the sky like meteors. Those flames aimed precisely at blood halberd warriors who were crystallized. A flow of blood-like flames shot out from their bodies, while their bodies melted like lava. They died without having time to wiggle. Wu Lan stayed by a corner of the blood-soul sea. She didn't take action from the beginning, just observing. She had a gleam of fear deep in her beautiful eyes. Her mind flickered unsteadily as if someone had thrown a stone into the lake of her heart, a small stone that rose a tsunami. She was frightened by Shi Yan's series of actions. This young man from the same tribe with their master had only second sky of original God realm, but the momentum he had created out of his efforts could compare to that of a first sky of ethereal God realm expert, and his coverage was even more extensive. Wu Lan was frightened, but her eyes were sparkling with dark light. Her ample bosom bounced slightly as she breathed. She realized that this young man could be fiercer than their master at such an age. Their master did have the competence to skip one level and battle others, but this man, he couldn't help but skip 2 levels. She must bring him out of here alive. Wu Lan made up her mind, her eyes resolute. She had prepared to do her best at the critical moment. Even if she got hurt, she had to get Shi Yan out of this besiege. She had recognized Shi Yan's great potential. She knew that he would become the most dazzling new outstanding warrior of the demon clan in the future. He would become a more prominent character than her master. Eventually, he could hold the entire Agate Star area in his hands. Chapter 953, The World of Shadows. Chapter 953, The World of Shadows, Anuswar. Dozens of battleships hovered around the space spider web. Thousands of warriors were waiting in silence, observing the fierce battle. Until this moment, only Niger's and Defeng's forces had participated in this battle. Many other forces from different clans were still watching indifferently. On one hand, they seemed to be afraid of Blood Devil. On the other hand, they also just didn't want to lose their troops. At least before the situation was clear, they didn't want to get involved in the mess. The space spider web was still moving. Warriors continued to go into the Blood Sea. The 4/3 sky of ethereal god realm warriors were still attacking each other. Their ethereal extents were still colliding and bombarding each other. They pushed the real world to the edge of being demolished. Sure, Yin hid in the Blood Sea. He hadn't shown himself until now. However, those who dared to enter the Blood Sea had their soul altars collapse. They lost their minds and started to attack everyone else. A brilliant star had flown up, radiating dozens of starlight beams above the Blood Soul Sea. Its light had made the brave warriors who dared to get into the Blood Sea turn to look at an asteroid, which melted from the scorching flame in the next moment. Wu Lan's visage changed. Her beautiful eyes became severe for the first time. Tu Fei had stormed over and released his tornadoes, hovering in front of the Blood Soul Sea. Accompanying him were 3 other ethereal god realm warriors, 1 at second sky and 2 at first sky. These were the hotshots under Niger's and Defeng's commands. It's time to end this farce. At this moment, Tu Fei was quite lucid. He wasn't quite his usual loony self. No matter how strong Blood Devil is, this place is the far west region. You can't decide on our business. Wu Lan frowned. If you stop now, we won't hold any grudge, even though you killed our blood halberd warriors. Tu Fei seemed to have confirmed something with Defeng, speaking coldly. If you poke your nose in our far west region's business, then don't blame us for giving no face for Blood Devil. The 3 ethereal god realm experts scattered, quietly surrounding Wu Lan. Wu Lan had only the first sky of ethereal god realm cultivation base. As the 3 ethereal god realm experts had her surrounded, if they wanted to kill her, it was very unlikely that she would escape. She could have chosen to ignore Shi Yan and retreated. With Blood Devil's reputation, no one would have dared to stop them. But if Wu Lan wanted to be involved, it was going to be hard to protect herself. Tu Fei kept silent, coldly looked at Wu Lan and waiting for her final decision. A bloodlight emerged on the Blood Soul Sea. Shi Yan's cold and harsh visage appeared in that light as he looked at Wu Lan in the distance. He spoke calmly. My matter has nothing to do with you guys originally. I won't say a word if you leave. You shouldn't shoulder it for me. Wu Lan suddenly smiled as she was happy. Deliberately, she thinned her lips, whispering, Seems like everybody thinks that I can't afford to join this battle. Then, Wu Lan's black wings opened, flapping gently. A strange world grew from above her head. It was a gray, gloomy area, like a shadow of the real world. They could see everything from the real world in there. They saw Shi Yan, Tu Fei, and the 3 ethereal god realm experts surrounding Wu Lan. Just like an image in the water, it reflected the real world. This was Wu Lan's Power Upanishad, shadow. Wu Lan rose her slender fingers. Tu Fei in her world was bound by dark light. Just like his shadow, Tu Fei in the real world seemed to be restrained too. In the real world, Tu Fei discolored. He suddenly felt an unknown force binding him entirely. He couldn't even move. The tornadoes which were swaggering around halted and then vanished. Wulan had a weak smile on her face. Her eyebrows were like a picture. Her fingers emitted beams of light, shooting towards the shadow ethereal extent above her head, aiming at the 3 ethereal god realm experts in there. The 3 warriors in the world of shadows were tied by the light as if they were bound by their own shadows. The warriors in the real world were also bound. The shadow power Upanishad restrained them, preventing them from urging their energy. Wulan was still, smiling tenderly. Her delicate waist swayed gently, and she glided through her world of shadows like another shadow. Her beautiful, exquisite fingers continually poked the shadows of Tu-Fei's team. Tu-Fei and the other 3 warriors in the real world screeched. They all had bloody holes in their god bodies, which were bleeding badly. Wu Lan's power Upanishad was magical, yet bizarre. It could project small shadows of objects in the real world to her ethereal extent. She didn't need to attack the warriors in the real world, but still did significant damage to them. This kind of power Upanishad was eccentric. They didn't know how she had cultivated it to such a profound level. She could even generate a world of shadows, which was truly powerful and terrifying. What a fierce woman! Shi Yan was astounded. At this moment, he was looking at her seriously for the first time. He now realized that Wulan was afraid of him and Fei Lan, so she had to move away in Broken Star Field. She just wanted to see if he knew how to use the immortal grass or not. If she had attacked them with her best abilities, Fei Lan wouldn't have been able to defend herself. Wu Lan also has the competence to fight warriors at higher realms than hers. Among the 4 ethereal god realm experts, 2 were at the same realm as Wu Lan, and the other 2 were 1 level higher than her at second sky of ethereal god realm. However, when Wu Lan released her power Upanishad, her world of shadows appeared. She gained the upper hand in just a blink. Tu-Fei and the others were subdued before they could seize the time to generate their ethereal extents. You better seize this chance and escape. I only have the energy to bind them for 1 hour. Wu Lan said softly in her ethereal extent, her eyes serious. The 4 of them are at ethereal god realm. Even though I did as much as I can't kill them all. Also, more and more experts will come. I can only spare you 1 hour. Shi Yan darkened his face. He said thank you. He knew how dangerous the situation was. At this moment, only Niger's and Defeng's forces had joined the battle. The other forces of Broken Star Field were still indifferent. He knew he endured until this moment thanks to the space spider web. If he let more ethereal god realm warriors approach, he wouldn't be able to resist such forces. They would smash his soul quickly. The reason why he was persistent and didn't flee was to gain the utmost benefits from the others' deaths to fill his energy. Since you've cultivated space power Upanishad, you should have a way to get out of here. Wu Lan mulled over the situation for a while and then said sincerely, if you leave, remember to visit our territory. We've done so many things just so that you can meet our master. How can I find your master? Shi Yan was surprised. Come to Devil Blood Star. As long as you can get to Devil Blood Star, my master will be there. I'm sure that no one from the far west region will dare to pursue you. I will remember. Nodding, Shi Yan's thought changed. A flow of space energy emitted from his body. Space slits appeared thickly in front of him. Kill! All of a sudden, hotshots standing on the battleships, out of the battle site, suddenly thundered. They could see that Shi Yan was planning to run away. Warriors cultivating space power Upanishad were the most slippery warriors in the world of martial arts. When they activated space slits and went through it, no one would stop them. Instantly, several thousand icicles, thunderbolts, fire columns, and electric dragons created from different powers moved agilely through the space slits, attacking Shi Yan like lances thrusting into the bone. Boom! 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 His space exploded. Space energy that Shi Yan was urging disordered. He couldn't build the space bridge. The Blood Soul Sea was destroyed by several thousand powers Upanishad. It was torn apart, creating clusters of blood clouds. The wicked intent domain was ruined. Tui, Shiryen spat out blood. Those powers Upanishads had affected his mind, distorting his will. Although he was fast enough to sway his body and dodge the icicles, electric dragons, and lightning snakes, he couldn't protect his body completely. Although his god body was as hard as heavenly rock, it couldn't endure the bombarding of different energies from the hotshots. The fierce energies seeped into his blood and flesh, damaging his bones and muscles. His god body was now wounded severely. He's not dead yet. Wow, he's not dead. How is he not dead? Many warriors on the battleships were frightened. Their faces grimaced. That young man had only second sky of original god realm, but his god body wasn't blown off by the bombarding of different powers Upanishad. His soul altar didn't fly out. It was beyond their imagination. This man is scary. His god body's intensity could perhaps be compared to the monster clan experts. Otherwise, he could never have resisted such powerful attacks. His god body is tremendous. How many times has he quenched his body to reach such a level? Seems like he has a big harvest deep in Broken Star Field. We have to capture his soul altar to extract his memory to get the truth of what had happened back there. Right. The reasons why they came here for sure and didn't include just asking him to pay for what he'd done, but also to know what he had gotten in Broken Star Field. The Broken Star Field had existed for tens of thousands of years in the far west region. The extremely marvelous ability it had was attracting pieces of broken stars. People thought that it had a secret and that it was a whole new world. As Shiryen had broken the magic of Broken Star Field, which led to the disintegration of Broken Star Field, they thought that he had harvested this secret. Regardless of what it actually was, all of them thought that this secret was a critical matter. They wanted to share the benefits from this secret. This was their real purpose for letting Shiryen stay alive. Crack, crack, crack. Shiryen's bones resounded noisily and strangely. His god body turned red as the immortal demon blood inside, which was surging, healing his damaged body. After a short moment of astonishment, the onlookers frowned, flying toward Shiryen to capture him or to restrain his soul altar. In their eyes, Shiryen was the key to unlocking Broken Star Field's anomaly. They were afraid that they would be slower than others. All moved as fast as lightning, as if they were crossing long distances, and appeared in front of Shiryen in just a blink of an eye. As they had been waiting for a long time, seeing this opportunity, they weren't hesitant anymore. Chapter 954, Sharpening. Chapter 954, Sharpening, Anusvar. More and more icicles, lightning sabers, fires, and lava rocks with tremendous power grumblingly rushed over at Shiryen. Shiryen tried to build a space door to run away from Broken Star Field. However, after he had been hit the first time, the second wave had come before he could steady his body. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Shiryen felt like hundreds of giant hammers pounded him. His body was smashed and bleeding. His eyes became dispirited. Holy S**T. His soul altar hasn't been destroyed yet. This brat is like a cockroach that we can't beat up. If the soul altar hasn't left the body, that means his god body hasn't been smashed yet. How much did he quench his body? Monster. Morbid. After Broken Star Field's hotshots begun their operation, they screamed as they saw that they couldn't destroy Shiryen's god body after the second wave of attack. All of them were astounded. A warrior with only second sky of original god realm had a tenacious god body that was beyond their imagination. Wulon helped Shiryen hold two-phase team down. Seeing Shiryen being attacked continuously, her face became cold. She shouted, shameless, Those who were attacking Shi Yan had not only King God Realm and Original God Realm. Some of them were at Ethereal God Realm. Due to the far distance, they couldn't release as much energy as they wanted to. However, their powers were still intimidating. Many hotshots were attacking only one warrior. They didn't know shame. Wu Lan was infuriated. More shadows appeared in her world of shadows, which reflected the warriors who were striking Shi Yan. Wu Lan gritted her teeth and snorted. Her delicate fingers continued to poke shadows of the hotshots in her world of shadows. Puff, puff, puff. The oncoming warriors of Broken Star Field had their bodies explode on the way. Blood splashed as bleeding holes appeared in their chests. The High Realm warriors had their power Upanishad restrained for the moment. They couldn't urge their energy. All looked at Wu Lan with rage and resentment. Wu Lan was hiding in the world of shadows. Her face turned as pale as a sheet of paper. She had consumed a lot of energy. She looked at Shi Yan in the distance, speaking weakly. Quick! Dispirited, Shi Yan was awakened by her call. Immortal demon blood seethed in his body. Boom! 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 His bones sounded crisp. A new flow of newly generated energy turbulently shot out. Shi Yan's eyes became garnet. He used a lot of energy to condense and connect a space door. Layers of light doors appeared in front of him. He gritted his teeth and turned his head to check for the last time before jumping directly into the life door. Shi Yan flashed and then disappeared. The light door closed. Marvelous and unpredictable space energy faded away. The regular atmosphere resumed. The space slits blurred and vanished as his aura and god body disappeared entirely. Tui! Wu Lan spat out a mouthful of blood. The light dimmed in her eyes as her world of shadows collapsed. Tu Fei and the warriors who were restrained by the world of shadows got rid of her restraint immediately. All rolled their eyes and stared at Wu Lan as if she had just killed their parents. Wu Lan bit her lower lip. She smiled tiredly, but she didn't move. She just spoke deliberately. You can try to kill me, but you have to remember this. If I get killed, Blood Devil will definitely give the far west region a bloodbath. Afterward, people got frightened. People who wanted to attack her became hesitant. At this moment, two strange lights flashed. The two muscular black, scaled warriors appeared. With a cold and harsh countenance, they guarded Wu Lan's sides. Did he leave? One of the black scaled men hissed. Wu Lan nodded gently. He's hurt. I'm not sure if he survived. It's all right. The man smiled reluctantly. He's from a mortal demon clan like our master. As long as his god body isn't obliterated, he can always heal himself. The other raked through the crowd. He snorted and said, We should go now. I also want to see if those people of the far west dare to kill us. The two black scaled experts covered Wu Lan, flying away. Their countenances were icy cold. Many warriors along their way shifted restlessly as they were all angry. However, when Wu Lan's team passed them, they didn't dare to do anything rashly. Even Niger and Defong kept silent at this moment. They just coldly looked at Wu Lan's team, flying away. They weren't afraid of the three in Wu Lan's team. They were afraid of Blood Devil. They didn't want to cause any grudges against Blood Devil, which would drown the far west region in blood. After Wu Lan and the others left, they immediately used their special powers. They turned into 3 beams of light and disappeared. Although many experts of the far west region were watching them, no one dared to attack them at this moment. This operation of theirs targeted Shi Yan only. They didn't come here to offend Blood Devil. If they couldn't capture Shi Yan's soul altar, killing Wu Lan wouldn't do anything but enrage Blood Devil. So in this situation, keeping silent was a good move. Niger and Defong quietly moved to the area where Shi Yan had disappeared, releasing their soul consciousness to investigate. After a while, they sighed begrudgingly, shaking their heads. Warriors who cultivate space power Upanishad are the toughest ones to kill. Niger forced a smile, speaking to Gate. I have no solution now. It's not that I don't want to take revenge for Feng Ro. We don't know where that brat has gone. It would be difficult to hunt him down. Master, please help me investigate where he has gone, replied Gate respectfully. Niger nodded. Don't worry. Feng Ro was also my subordinate. I will seek justice for her. I will try my best to find that brat. According to you, he's not alone here. He went with an old woman and a muscular man. Where are they? De foam of blood, Halberd came to ask Tu Fei. Tu Fei shook his head. I don't know. I didn't see the other two. Suddenly, an old man stepped out of the crowd, walking to Niger and De Foam. He was the one of the two who helped Ai Fu watch over his treasury. He was sent to Broken Star Field to seek information about the 1,000-fold lotus from Shi Yan. However, as he got another instruction from his master, he changed his approach. They should be an old orchid star, the old man frowned. Our heaven eye saw them disappear using the mother and child sky linking formation. They should reappear in Old Orchid Star where the giants are staying. Old Orchid Star? De Feng's eyes became colder. As the giants have formed a relationship with them, they court death themselves. The giant tribe doesn't want to live anymore, said Niger. Go to Old Orchid Star. Go to Old Orchid Star. Many warriors of the far west region became excited as they shared the same grudge, shouting clamorously. Ah, Old Orchid Star. Fei Lan, Leona, and Katua were gazing at the mother formation in the mysterious ancient city, their faces stern. After a long time, nothing happened to the mother formation. It had no sign of being activated. It has been a long time and we got nothing. Did something unexpected happen? Katua growled. We shouldn't have left. If we stayed, we could have at least fought with him. The others are very strong. They are the union of different forces. Unless we have someone at incipient God realm, we can't do anything. Leona now had reached ethereal God realm. She looked at Katua, speaking calmly. Your senior won't be killed that easily. He has cultivated space power, and he's good at using space to escape. I think he just doesn't have a spare moment to message us. Na Xian and Zhen, Gu of the giant tribe, were also there. They looked anxious. I'm sorry. They know that we killed Tu Feng. Fei Lan sighed, speaking to Na Xian. Blood, Halberd, won't let it go easily. If they can't find Shi Yan, they will go to Old Orchid Star to take revenge for sure. Old Orchid Star will have a lot of trouble. Na Xian and Zhen Gu exchanged looks. They became distressed, sighing. What should we do? Fei Lan rubbed his forehead. We can't wait in Old Orchid Star for a long time. Do we have anywhere else to stay? By Tian and people from Raging Flame Star area became restless, looking at Fei Lan and expecting a direction. Fei Lan didn't have a good solution. We aren't familiar with Agate Star area. We have to see if Na Xian has any solution. If they want to attack Old Orchid Star, we'll have only one choice, which is to leave this place. We don't have the competence to resist them. Blood Halberd will easily destroy all creatures of Old Orchid Star. We giants have no countermeasure. Na Xian wore a bitter visage. We can't stay on Old Orchid Star any longer. We must leave soon. Sigh, I never thought that we would have to leave our home. I thought I could strengthen my tribe after I got the inheritance from our old ancestral land. But now this happened. Fei Lan and Leona felt embarrassed. As they didn't know what to say, they could only keep silent. If Shi Yan hadn't killed Tu Feng, they wouldn't have brought such a disaster to Giant Tribe. And the giants wouldn't have needed to leave Old Orchid Star. Because of their existences, the giants had to bear this catastrophe. You guys don't need to feel guilty. Na Xien seemed to understand. Without Sher Yen, we couldn't have gotten out of the Me Brothers trap when we were in Broken Star City. Perhaps we wouldn't have been able to leave Broken Star City alive. Zhengu nodded. It's the culpa of our giant tribe. Our tribe must thrive. So I think it's inevitable. If we gain something, we will always lose something. We got a lot of good things recently. Of course, we would have to endure the torture of destiny. We can leave old Orchid Star. As long as we giants have enough time to recover, we will absolutely grow stronger. Now we should consider which area to move to, Na Xan pondered, speaking to Phelan. You guys should hurry to prepare. And right, we must keep the Mother Formation to connect to Sher Yen. Once he has time, he will open the Mother Formation. Maybe we can retreat through the Mother Formation. Phelan and the others nodded. Na Xien and Zhengu didn't linger. They returned to the grand mountain of the giant tribe to prepare for their great migration. Phelan, Longzhu, and Yun Hao from Grace Mainland had ordered their fellows to prepare everything and wait for Sher Yen. If Sher Yen didn't activate the Mother Formation, they could only leave old Orchid Star. Chapter 955, An Eccentric Man. Chapter 955, An Eccentric Man, _ Blood circulated in Sher Yan's entire body while he silently floated inside a blue bubble. This was a marvelous world of colors. However, it didn't have a bit of earth and heaven energy besides the blue bubbles. Those bubbles emitted an immense blue light like some kind of barrier. Streamers moved around the place, like rivers crossing the void. Blue bubbles filled every corner as if they were part of a vast sea. The bubbles had many sizes. The big ones were as massive as mountain ranges, while the small ones were as large as fists. Sher Yen was staying inside a bubble big enough to cover him entirely. Blue bubbles floated, slowly moving in a direction. Inside the bubble, Sher Yen gradually healed his badly wounded god body. Under the magical effects of immortal demon blood, his broken bones and vessels grew and connected to each other. They had recovered at a speed that naked eyes could observe. This place didn't have a concept of time. Sure, Yen didn't know how long he had spent here before he woke up. His face changed immediately. He turned around, standing up inside the bubble. His face became incredibly severe. This was not where he should have arrived. There was no beam of earth and heaven energy, no sun, moon, or stars. Needless to say, a piece of land. This was a space crack. Sher Yen was frightened. As he cultivated space power Upanishad, he understood well what the space crack meant. It was an absolutely deadly silent area. It didn't have energy or traces of human operations, other creatures, or floras. This place had only endless desolation. When Sher Yen escaped Broken Star Field, he remembered clearly that he had built a space door which would reasonably lead to Agate Star area, as he had this in mind at that time. It shouldn't be some space crack. After taking a deep breath, Sher Yen sat down cross-legged. He put aside the anomaly of this place for a moment to check the changes of his god body. His eyes brightened. The wounded god body had completely recovered. Not only that, the essence Qi ancient tree in his body was filled to the brim. His power had reached a new height. He immediately understood that his acupuncture points had absorbed and refined the energy, providing to his entire body and healing him. Besides, he received more benefits from that. At this moment, he was at second sky of original god realm with abundant energy and magical powers Upanishad. He should have been happy. However, his face was dispirited and reluctant. It was because he didn't know how to get out of this space crack. He didn't know how to get back to Agate Star area. His soul consciousness was restricted in this area. He had no other magical sensibility but his eyes to observe the surroundings. Being baffled for a while, he silently circulated his energy, trying to break the blue bubble. Boom! The blue bubble covering his body burst off. A flow of chaotic space energy grumblingly flooded in like a tsunami, striking his body directly. A blood-red halo emerged, resisting the chaotic space energy. Sure, Yen had to consume his energy a lot to maintain the halo. His countenance changed. Sure, Yen looked at a blue bubble. His thoughts flickered, and his body shot like a space saber into that bubble. The blue bubbles could resist turbulent space flow. Sure, Yen was safe taking shelter inside the bubble. Tens of thousands of blue bubbles were floating, moving slowly in the same direction. There was no star around, but the streamers moved swiftly. If he didn't have a tenacious body, he would have been broken easily. Sure, Yen didn't know what was going on around him. However, he was able to confirm one thing. The reason that he appeared there wasn't that he had aimed wrongly. Somebody had affected his space door, deviating him. Otherwise, he should have been in some area of Agate Star area at this moment. Even though Sure Yen had been cultivating space power Upanishad, he hadn't reached the level that he could move through the space cracks as he pleased. He couldn't find the door that opened to Agate Star area. For the time being, he had a headache. He knew his operation in Broken Star Field would bring a disaster to the giant tribe and his friends in Old Orchid Star. He had planned to stop by a life star and activate the child formation of the mother and child sky linking formation. That way we could evacuate his people in Old Orchid Star. Sure, Yen knew that he was rushing. If his friends in Old Orchid Star couldn't leave early, the natives of Old Orchid Star will receive a catastrophe. Sure, Yen was restless. Countless bubbles were floating and moving towards an unknown area. Sure, Yen didn't know when they would reach their destination and when he could find the way to return. He must have a solution quickly. With a dark face, he decided to use his energy to resist the chaotic space current. He started to jump through the bubbles, heading to where the bubbles were heading. As Sure Yen understood the solution, he applied it immediately. He urged the energy around his body, making his god body twinkle with starlight. He broke his bubble and jumped to the nearest bubble. As soon as his god body left the bubble, the streamers immediately crossed over him. Attacks as potent as billions of tons of water pouring on the sky gave him a massive pressure. Each of his muscles was tense. He could feel pain in his brain too. He could enter the bubble, but he had to consume his energy. There were tens of thousands of bubble in front of him. With his energy, if he kept moving forward, he could only get through around 100 bubbles before draining all of his energy. He could only use divine crystals to restore. Sure Yan's knitted his brows tightly, hesitating. This place looked strange and unpredictable. He hadn't seen this the first time. He didn't know anything about this place. If he drained all of his energy, in case he encountered a danger, what would he do? But if he couldn't find a way out and kept floating in a bubble like this, how could his friends in Old Orchid Star dodge this calamity? Taking a deep breath, Sure Yen continued to use energy, covering his body. He gritted his teeth, dashing forward. More than 10 blue bubbles passed him while he was moving like a shuttle. When he stopped inside a bubble to recharge his energy, he looked around to check his surroundings. There were so many blue bubbles ahead, behind, above, and beneath him. All of them were heading in the same direction, which he didn't know where it led. He didn't know what would be waiting in the other end neither. His face darkened, but his eyes were still bright, staring at something ahead of him. In front of him was a bubble as big as a rubber ball where a cluster of mist dwelled, which had soul energy fluctuations. Sure, Yen was perplexed. Hesitating for a while, he moved fast forwards. His god body forcefully resisted the space streamers, entering a bubble around 100 meters away from the bubble with soul energy. Inside that pocket-sized bubble, the gray mist slowly condensed into an ash-gray ancient face. It looked a bit blurry. Facing Shi Yan, he seemed to furrow his brows, releasing his shaking soul energy. He didn't look pleased at all. Don't struggle. This place doesn't have earth and heaven energy. You can't regain what you've consumed. Better to save energy for the critical moments. Shi Yan was baffled, asking, "Who are you?" He suddenly realized that the reason why he appeared here somehow related to this person. Indeed, the blurry soul snorted, speaking coldly. "I had to spend a lot of energy to bring you here. Behave. Don't use energy. Save as much as you can. Who's the mother of **cur that asked you to bring me here?" Shi Yan's visage became cold. "I'd navigated and built the space door without a mistake. You interfered and brought me to this unknown space crack that I don't know how to get out of. What do you want?" "Kid, don't be ungrateful," snarled the soul. "Ordinary people can never get into this place. If I haven't consumed a lot of energy to drag you here, how could you have been here? Don't babble. Just wait there. I've got a plan for you. I need to get back." "Why did you bring me here? Please send me back," roared Shi Yan. "Don't even think about it." The soul sneered coldly. "I've used a lot of energy to bring you here. How could I let you go easily? I'm telling you, if you don't help me, you should never dream about getting out of this place. I know you cultivate space power Upanishad, but without my direction, you can't use your power to get out of this place." Shi Yan darkened his face. He kept silent. His eyes became garnet. Swish! A bunch of starlights shot out from his finger, tearing the bubble and aiming at his soul. Sizzle! Sizzle! The bunch of starlights that Shi Yan shot out vanished quickly. It couldn't gather more energy. When it was about to enter the bubble, the energy in the light wasn't even more than 1/10 the required energy. The vague, ancient face snorted disdainfully. A beam of soul energy emerged. Space streamers gathered, attacking Shi Yan's starlight. PFFFF. Shi Yan's attack was shattered instantly, unable to be a threat to others. "Kid, don't waste your energy. I understand that this place is much better than you. As you have only second sky of original God realm, I wouldn't take you here if you could attack me." The old man grinned fiendishly. "Better to behave. If you help me with this, I will bring you back. I'll even give you a big gift too. If you keep that stupid thought in mind, you'll stay here for the rest of your life with me. I've been so lonely for several thousands of years. It's good that I have someone to talk to. Who are you? What do you need me to help you with?" Shi Yan frowned, calming his mind. "You want me to work for you, right? At least you have to tell me my scope of work." "Mwahaha. When we get there, I'll tell you. For now, you just need to be content with your lot." The bodiless soul laughed eccentrically. "Don't worry. If you do your best to help me, I won't mistreat you. It's your good fortune that you can be here. You don't know how many warriors have tried to explore this place, but they never found the door. Kid, you're lucky. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.